It's the Intergalactic Soul, the Honorable Brother, the Revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Powerbombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
Welcome to Powerbombshells 159. I'm Mel, that's Sam. We're just two broads talking about the wrestling we like. What's going on, Sam?
Hey, how are you?
I am hype for Dynasty.
I can tell.
And every time I type Dynasty, I hear Dynasty in my head.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
So, he and Sam, thank you very much for that. And every time I see the word in, now it's like I'm reading a serious history book, and it's like, the Tan Dynasty, what?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You're welcome. I'm glad
I have too many wrestling words
infiltrated.
I already see too many wrestling words in my, you know, where you like missee a word when you glance at it, and because of what you're into, it automatically, usually it's, sadly, I have a pretty dirty mind, but also now it's like either wrestling or dirty. Or yes. Some like Mashable version.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, and that's like when we're talking about Dynasty, that's like with Teton. Now I usually read Titan as Teton. Like in anything I'm reading, and it was like a Titan. I was like a Teton, and I was like, that's not offensive.
Which is not
I mean,
wrong.
It does, but
it's not wrong. You're just reading it in a different language for a second.
Right, exactly.
It's like Bob gets sometimes, he's like, it's Taurus. And I'm like, you guys pronounce Sam's hometown Charlotte. You don't get a vote.
Yes, that is not it.
We have a part of Michigan that's spelled the same as your hometown.
Right.
You pronounce it Charlotte here.
There's a place here called Concord, but up north, obviously, it's called Concord. And so like people say it here like that, and then like the GPS will say it as Concord, and we're like, not down here, it's not.
My favorite thing is Maine. We have a Presque Isle, Maine, and it's spelled exactly the same as Presque Isle, Michigan.
Of course.
I was like, why does your thingy say, they had a big blanket? And I said, why does that say Presque Isle? And they both looked at me like I had multiple heads. And I was like, all right then. It turns out that even here on this ginormous tiny continent of North America, we all have different ways of phrasing things.
Yes.
We have, as my cousin from up northeast likes to say, is we can't even agree. We have like our whole coast can't agree on a name of a sandwich. And he's not wrong.
That's fair.
Euro, Italian, grinder. I mean, all just go down. And I mean, and then there's pop and Coke. So.
Right. And there's like buggy and cart
and buggy. It's cart where I'm from, but it's buggy here.
It's buggy here.
As well as bubbler, which I had never heard before. And I was like, you mean the water fountain?
I've never heard that. I've never heard it called that before.
My favorite though is I did the other day is when you call it the Kroger.
Yes.
Walmart.
Yes.
I did it the other day.
Or you put S's.
Oh yeah.
Walmart.
Here it's called Kmart's.
Yes.
It was always in for my mother's-in-law, my Graham. It's was the Kmart's here.
Yes.
The S is silent in the rest of the country.
Right. Well, that's like, yeah, it's like an Aldi is like people still pronounce those Aldis here, and I was like, no, it's just except for my phone. My phone always tries to correct Aldis. Like if I'm talking about Nick Aldis, it tries to correct it to Aldi's. Oh. It'll like capitalize on, and I'm like, no, it's out. I'm talking about Nick Aldis. Again, phone, you are not smarter than me. I know what I'm talking about.
I love when you have to
way too much wrestling.
I love when you have to argue with your autocorrect about your wrestling words.
Right.
You're like, no, save it. I'm telling you.
Right.
Kazuchika Okada. At least it defaults to Okada when I like. If I start to spell anything with a capital OK, immediately Okada's name comes up.
I think mine is doing that too. And then it has Diamante with the asterisk because or the accent mark. I always put it in there when I'm typing her name. So now it has learned Diamante with the accent mark. So
mine has finally learned Ashe with the.
There you go. Mine, I
have to copy pasta it usually, but my text on my phone on my device actually has it copied in there. I'm like, yes. I get frustrated. I'm like, I'm on my computer and I run to my phone so I can tweet things.
I
call it American, actually. What is this crazy English y'all speaking? I call it, everyone says we speak English. We speak American.
Which is still multiple different things.
I've been all over and it's very different. And I love it. It's a very endearing thing to me. So it can duck off. Exactly right. Mm-hmm.
We have some comments on your hat real quick that I want to get to. So originally, way up here,
I saw the purple hat comment.
Back before they were Brad and Daza and Nikki were planning a coup to take over our podcast.
All right, you January 6ers over.
Yeah, April 6ers over here.
Yeah, oh my gosh, the date lines up.
I know. I looked up and saw it.
Oh my God, it's a Dynasty April 6th coup. It's a coup.
So Nikki, her original guess was that your hat was going to be purple to match the Dynasty graphics, but then we had a couple. Oh shoot! Hold on, I hit the wrong thing. And then we had. Oh, see, Brad says that it helps him how to remember how to spell Dynasty.
Fair enough.
You're welcome. I make beat says nice hat. No, you remind me of Walter White.
Nice.
And then Nikki Nikki did this one to pop me, and she said, "Those hats, that's Jack Bing Morning Gazette. I'm going to leave the story wide open," which is a Friends reference.
Oh my gosh, I should have put a press card in this hat. Now that I see it, now that she says that, this card needed a press card. The fun thing about this hat is, and Bob is kind enough to these are his great grandpa's hats that he
sweet.
So the one I wore last week and the one I wearing today are his great grandpa's one, because we've been doing some spring cleaning and I found them and was like, he's like, those are my great granddad's, and I was like, is it okay if I wear them on the show? He's like, yeah, of course. So but now that I see it, I definitely could have set a card
in there.
And dang. All right, but I'll do it sometime when people forget about it, because he has short memories and short attention spans.
Exactly.
So.
There we go.
Perfect. Solved it.
You did. Nikki says that she loves that. I make beat says the American English is so different, it's wild. But I'm in the south of UK and it's different to the north, so I get it. Yeah. We met some Northerners at a store one day, and Bob was talking to them, especially, and he was like, "Where is your because he actually asked which part are you from, and they're like, we're from way up north. That's why it sounds a little different, because it kind of gets towards like Scottish or whatever, and then but not. So yeah, it's really fun this is like in Maine, so they're like, oh, thank God, people who understand that like Britain is not just London. Right. Yeah.
And you go abroad, and actually this is something we found, my sister and I, early on, is you can't even say Boston. You just have to say north of New York. Like, forget saying Maine. Even Boston wasn't enough. And Providence, Rhode Island. We live north of New York.
North of New York.
And it's because European nations are very small.
Right.
And so, and you can you can drive around the island of Ireland in 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Which
is insane. In 4 hours, I would be, and it would, depending on traffic, but without traffic, I could be in Atlanta at 4 hours.
Exactly. In 4 hours from Maine to Rhode Island. That's how long it took to get to my grandma's house from my house in southern Maine.
Yeah.
In Rhode Island. So in like Greater Providence.
Uh-huh.
So you can drive for hours and still be in the same country. But as our Irish friend came here and realized, he was like, you people. And they don't have a car culture. They have public transpo. So they don't drive around to everywhere. Like we have like, I mean, especially our generation, we were like 16 yet? Am I 16 yet? Can I go?
Right.
And it's just not like that, because they don't need it. The gas is way more expensive, and it's just, I'm driving from one part of Germany to another part of Germany.
Right, exactly.
Which isn't to say that those parts aren't different in and of themselves.
Of course. Well, yeah, but
just like here,
public transport makes more sense.
It turns out people have way more in common than they realize.
Imagine that.
Whew, sorry, I don't want to blow anybody's mind too early on a Sunday.
Haven't even got to the card yet, and you're already starting.
I know. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. I just got to get that out of my system.
Yes.
And I missed the graphics. See, I'm like, oh damn, that's right. He did challenge.
He said, "I live on a 9-mile wide island, and we have too many cars."
Yeah. But so you're probably like Long Island or yeah. I know I have a good palette in the LI area, and yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, America's so rich, we could totally do public transpo, but I'm not gonna. That's a different show and a different network for a different world. Today is Dynasty Day. You're not killing my buzz. We're not talking politics unless they're wrestling politics.
Real quick, I want to make a quick sidebar. When we had the video from Darius, and then when you were talking about Ashe, that reminded me.
That's right.
They did. If you missed the announcement, Ashe's show in Vegas will be live streamed. They made that announcement a few days ago. The week of the show, which their show is on the Thursday, so I think that's April 17th, I believe. The show is at 11 a.m. I think it's 11 a.m. Vegas time, not Eastern time. I think it's 11 a.m. Vegas time. We'll double check the times for you. But regardless, that week, they will have the show available for purchase for $15. I know we all got to work with our money, but if you have $15 to spare, I highly recommend purchasing the Ashe show, because that show is going to be incredible just from the card that they've already announced. And then you were supporting great people on top of it. If you're able to, I highly, highly recommend that. And we'll remind you when it gets a little bit closer, because we're still a couple of weeks away. Also, I believe that same day is what I am referring to as Thunder Thursday Collision, because Collision is coming on that Thursday night instead, because they're not obviously going up against night one of WrestleMania. So they are, so it'll be Dynamite's on Wednesday, Collision is that night on Thursday, which is also the same day that all the more the Mania stuff starts. So I was like, but my biggest concern when I saw this was, please don't be going, because I have to do live coverage. So I was like, please don't go up against the season finale of Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, that's right.
They haven't announced yet what the day
is out there.
Yeah, I was like, don't go against the season finale, please. And so when I looked the other day, they haven't said what the end date for this season is. They have been picked up for next season, but that which has come out, but not that. So I was like, all right, well, Thunder Thursday Collision it is. And then last night they announced during Collision that Fyter Fest in June, there's going to be a 4-hour show. It is 2 hours of Dynamite, 2 hours of Collision, all on the same night, apparently.
Now, I have a quick question here, because is Double or Nothing still happening?
Yeah.
It feels like they're not, like, they're promoting Fyter Fest and this ridiculous thing, and they're promoting all these things.
It's in.
I know it's still happening, but it feels like they're promoting All In. They're promoting a bunch of.
Well, yeah, of course they're gonna. They did that. Obviously, they're gonna promote those. But yeah, they're gonna. I think they're trying to get past Dynasty first. But then because Fyter Fest is, I think tickets are going on sale, and that's why they announced it last night. And then obviously they're gonna the spring breakthrough shows. Those are the ones where they're gonna surpass WCW. So they're making a really big fucking deal about it, which they should. So I think that's another reason those tickets are on sale as well, because that's only in 2 weeks that this is happening. That's on the 16th and the 17th. So I think that's why they're talking about that, and we'll start to talk about Double or Nothing, I'm sure, during, as soon as Dynasty's over with, they'll start talking about it.
It feels like there's a big hole, like they're not talking about, there's a big hole in stuff they're talking about, and that makes sense. I mean, get past this one start, but they definitely need to put their foot on the gas on talking about Double or Nothing.
I mean, I think they will, but I think they're going, because those shows are on sale, and the spring breakthrough, obviously they're going to promote, because that's a huge milestone for them.
New, so
it's a huge milestone, because they'll be the longest running wrestling program in prime time on Turner Sports.
Yeah, that's right.
A big deal. So I think that's why they're going ahead and promoting that. And it's smart that they're doing Collision on Thursday and not going up against night one of WrestleMania, which they know they would get killed in the ratings. So it makes way more sense. So I think that's why. Brad says $15, the price of 3 overpriced coffees from the commercial coffee place that makes bad coffee anyway. There you go.
Totally. I mean, again, if you can, I'm going to. That's something that is totally affordable at this point, and that's great. And I was supporting local wrestling yesterday. I got to see our friends over at CCW. They were doing an exhibition at the anime, and then a new anime con, and at their new space. They're going to be over closer to my house even than before, in a new sports complex that they opened up, and they were over there doing exhibitions for our show that's going to be here in Richmond next week, Richmond Ruckus 2. That's 4. 2. And we're going to be having a WWE ID main event match with our good pal, our champion Freedom Ramsey there.
Yeah.
And Sam Holloway, who I have read about. But
yeah, I've heard his name for the last maybe year or so, but I haven't, and I've seen like what he looks like, but I haven't seen any of his matches yet, but I've heard good things about him.
And I got to see our good friend Spider yesterday, and he's got some new stuff on the burner.
Very
and
cool.
He's like booking out in other places as well. And so
good. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was fun. I love supporting. Exactly. It's so nice because it's such a fun community, and I'm getting to know a lot of the people like you have had in the past, and that community is rebuilding because we had it with Evolve and then it went away.
Right.
And like I was telling my friend yesterday, they are so talented. I even said it to Bowser at one point. I was like, dude, you are spoiled with talent. And he was like, I am lucky.
Definitely.
He's got 3 young guys on there, Sam. I can't even tell you. They're young lions. 4 young guys on there. Dude, one of them's like 16. He's walking around the ring like he owns the place.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's
very
wild.
Cool.
I am.
Yeah.
We are like, as my friend put it yesterday, we're finally past the post-COVID, like, he thinks that we're like coming out of that we're finally coming out of what the plague did to indie wrestling, and it's starting to really build itself back up. And it's weird and fun to be a part of.
It is. Yeah.
They were very excited. So look for those people on our show in the future, because they were so nice and ran up to us and ran up to me and were like, we got to come see you and Sam. And I was like,
please do.
Anytime.
We would love that. Yes. Always open. And
I
guess real quick, before we get into the card, I also, well, I don't know. Do you want to take the lead on this? You can do it.
Well, I mean, well, okay. So I have a former coach that worked with me when I was administrating my soccer program, and she went off on her own. She used to work for Child Protective Services and the government. She kind of got tired of her work not getting anywhere and decided to move to Colorado and start an housing project for women and children who had been sex trafficked or were victims of trafficking in general. And when you booked our interview with Professor Carr there, Bridgitte Carr from the University of Michigan and their school there, Glow Blue, I reached out to her to say, what are some things like from a person who's been organizing and fundraising from the ground up with her partner. They built a place from the ground up, and they have like multiple housing structures now, and they're headed into a new adult housing. But I mean, awesome. This is grassroots. This is it is a .org using a .org right. It is someone that is essentially mutually. They raise money every year. The organization is called Resilience Rising. They have a big purple phoenix on their logo. They do have wish lists and other things that they allow, and I meant to put their thing on here, but we can reshare. We've already shared it around.
Yeah, we definitely will.
But they featured us in their monthly March newsletter because of that article or because of that interview, and linked the interview to their people so that they could get the information. And I think it's a big shout out to Sam and a huge deal for us, because sometimes you think you're out there in the space, and I know Sam's been frustrated over the years about feeling like sometimes people don't hear, but then I hope you felt really good about it.
I did. I was really honored. So if you are new to our show, last October, we interviewed Professor Bridgitte Carr. She is an expert in human trafficking. She came on to talk to us about human trafficking in general, but also to talk about the Janelle Grant lawsuit against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE, because she alleges that she was being sex trafficked. And so we had an expert on to talk about just overall to give people, because some people don't realize there's a difference between human trafficking and sex trafficking, because one doesn't necessarily mean the other. Or not all human trafficking is sex trafficking, but all sex trafficking is human trafficking. And so she was, making that abundantly clear. And then we talked about, obviously she had not read the lawsuit, but from what she, from the information that she knew about it, she was able to talk to us and give us some insight. And obviously that's a really heavy topic, and it is, an interview that Mel and I are super proud of. And so for it to be recognized by Resilience Rising, and to be that she thought enough of our interview to include it in her newsletter to her subscribers, is that very, like I said, I'm very honored that she did that for us. And so, so again, we just wanted to mention that in case you missed it. We did post it on our social media this week, but we just wanted to obviously talk about it here as well, because it was something that was that's huge for us, and something that we are really proud of. And so it's very kind to see somebody, include that into, if they think enough of it, that they would let other people know about it, especially outside of the wrestling bubble, because we know we're in our own little bubble. And we talk about obviously speaking out. It is similar to the Me Too movement, but again, it typically stays in our little bubble. And it's something that, sometimes I feel like I'm just yelling into the void about. Mm-hmm. And so for people outside of that bubble to know that, that it's happening in literally everywhere that you think of, but also that there are people who are talking about it. And just because it happens in a space that we love doesn't mean that we're hiding it under the rug because we don't like the way it makes our space look. So, but again, that was really cool of them. And we'll definitely try to get some lists up of, other wish lists.
Yeah, they have like an Amazon wish list. Cool. They do periodically, like I said earlier this week, they have a pretty low social profile, obviously, considering what they do. But they do have to fundraise because they are a nonprofit organization. Right. And so they do have wish lists and so forth where they, unidentified people, the persons that they're, but it's really great because sometimes when some of the newer, younger people come in, they have like, I've never had of this or I've never had of that. And sometimes it's a simple donation. You're buying them a notebook or an adoption for a cat for their little space that they have. Or, I've seen everything from dance lessons to having a kitty cat for the first time to, right. And it's cool. It's just like anything else, because my background is in nonprofit. It was in child development, but it's all the same. We're all like struggling to get that funding, and we're all struggling to get those donors. And so
it's tough.
I know, and again, because I know her heart and I know where she was. And again, as I said to the group, I was sorry to see her go, but I knew she had to go do what was important to her. And I've watched. It's been almost 10 years, and it's amazing. And I'm glad that I know a person like that and have someone in my life where I was like, what question should I ask? Like, what is a good question? Because I know Sam's going to have all her questions and be on top of it, but what am I leaving out? And so,
right, of course.
And as she put it in her, It's a Village section, it takes a village section, which I think is the biggest takeaway from the entire thing is, wow, it does come back around eventually. It took you some work.
Yes,
but,
for sure.
It was a lot. I was very cool, and I'm very glad that, we got that. I'm glad we could contribute in a positive way.
Yeah, me too.
And appreciate all you guys in the chat. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you for sure. And Michael said that the seats do the same. They have organizations for widows and children and trafficked women, which is incredible. Awesome. And was talking about how he wishes to establish these type of movements internationally. Some Indian Hindu groups in particular have a nasty record of this. The Sikh community actively fights that, which is incredible. It takes all of us in different ways, even if it's just, speaking out about it and things like that. So, but again, thank you for the kind words. And I did, when I posted it to, it's on, it's probably it is on the Powerbombshells Instagram, but the links from the story are probably gone. But on Twitter and on the Powerbombshells Blue Sky, I did tweet the direct links where you could watch it here, obviously on our YouTube channel. But Fight Game Media was kind enough to also put that interview on their Spotify and Apple pages as well. So I posted all three links for however you want to listen to it, but it is available. And again, that was back in October, so you have to go back a little ways to find it, but it is there. And so we'll repost. I can this week. I'll try to post it again. That way, you don't have to dig through everything to find it. But yeah. So we just wanted to talk about that. But now I know why a lot of you are here. it is Dynasty Day. And so we will go ahead and get into it.
Let's go. Okay, so should we do the one that I don't have a graphic for first?
Yeah, so we'll start with 0 Hour, and a couple of matches were officially announced last night. I have a feeling a third one will be announced either during the show or close to the show. I'm surprised it was not made already, but I'll get to that in a second. So last night on Collision, Top Flight faced the Crew, and you know they've all been feuding back and forth for a few weeks. The Crew is Lio Rush and Action Andretti. And so on Dynamite on Wednesday, they try their new thing. They have these necklaces and they choke out their opponent. And so they were trying to do that with Top Flight, and AR Fox was like, not on my watch. And so Leo and Action went to Nick Wayne, and he was like, that's your boy. And he was like, or it used to be, because you know, he beat you down in your daddy's gym. I mean, in his training facility. But you have a history. There's 3 of them and 2 of us. If we need you, will you have our backs? And Nick didn't really give him an answer. So last night on Collision, they approached Nick again, and Nick was like, this is beneath me. Like, I don't need this. And then Leo, as he walks away, Leo was like, oh, that's because you need your daddy's permission. Speaking of Christian Cage. And he was like, and Nick turned around and he was like, I'm my own man. You know, I make my own decisions. I don't need anything from Christian Cage. So last night during the match, Top Flight wins. The Crew comes to, attack them once again. AR Fox stops it. So Nick Wayne comes out, hits the Wayne's World on AR Fox. So they have made it official for 0 Hour. We now have a trios match. We have Nick Wayne and the Crew will take on Top Flight and AR Fox, which I think will be a really good match, because AR Fox has been killing it lately. I mean, he kills it all the time, but they've been using him more often between ROH and AEW, and he's so good. And so I'm really excited that they found a place for him on this card, because I think the Philly fans will love him.
Agree. He's so hard. Agree. He's one of my favorite people who used to come through town. It's one of those things, again, in the halls, you're literally standing next to this dude because he's watching everyone else perform so that he can, because they come to him. The kids would come to him when we would watch him at shows. They'd come talk to him and be like, how'd I do? Like, I love you. I'm so excited. That's great. Yeah. Well, I mean,
and go ahead.
Oh, well, you popped that back.
I was going to say, Brad says, I'm very intrigued by this Crew and Nick Wayne partnership. I am too. And what that means with the story for Christian. And what I also wonder what this means is Nick Wayne got announced for the BOSJ yesterday. So
okay, that did happen. I saw that those came out and didn't get to look at them.
Yes, Nick Wayne was announced for BOSJ. So that's why I said the same thing to Nikki last night. Because we went back and watched a few things from the show. We went back and watched the main event, and we went back and watched Takeshita versus Big Roy, and they were at the beginning of Takeshita's match. I mean, I already knew who was in it, but they were doing the graphics, and I told Nikki, and I was like, what does this mean? Like, how are they going to write him out? Like, is he going to separate from Christian and go off to Japan? And Nikki said he's going to be put on timeout, have to go to Japan. And I was like, I guess so. So I'm really intrigued with that too, Brad, and how this is all going to play out and how this is going to play out. And then what happens to Kip? Does Kip kind of step into Nick's role in the patriarchy and do some of the dirty work for Christian while Nick is in Japan? I hope this is going to lead to a bigger role for Kip Sabian, because I think Kip is highly underrated, and I'd like to see them use him more often. And so, especially because there's not a Rampage anymore, which is where he, was doing some work. And obviously he was, a lot of what he was doing prior to that was on Dark and things like that. So I'd really like to see, where this leads.
That's freaking awesome. I didn't know that. That's so good for him. And that actually, it makes sense because the last few weeks they've been building him, like turning on Christian, or like breaking away, breaking away from Christian, more like.
Right. And I didn't really think about, obviously, I was so surprised to see that he was going to be in BOSJ. And I was like, that actually makes sense. But that card, like Kevin Knight is going back. He'll be in BOSJ.
I saw that. I did see the Kevin Knight announcement, but I guess I missed
Kushida will be in it, of course. So we get the intergalactic jet setters will both be representing Ninja Mac.
That is going to be a stack. I mean, it's always stacked.
Ninja Mac
crap.
is in it. Is Ninja Mac, Mao, just like they have an unannounced CMLL entrant. I don't know why they couldn't announce it. I'm wondering if maybe it's a visa issue and maybe that's why they were waiting.
Ninja Mac is in BSJ too?
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh Sam, I'm so excited. You're gonna love Ninja Mac.
I know, I love him. I'm very familiar with Ninja Mac.
Okay,
I saw him in GCW before he even went to Japan.
Thank God, because he was
he
was destroying it. I
love
in love.
Ninja Mac. He's great. I'm so excited for him. Yeah, and I like the comic book graphics too. I think they were really cool. It is a really stacked BOSJ this year. Dragon Dia is back this year. It's gonna be. I'm really looking forward to this.
Nick Wayne is gonna benefit so much.
I think so too. He's gotten lost in the shuffle since he's, as of late, and I think this will be a really great way to see what he can do and how much he's grown, in the first, couple of years since he's even signed with AEW, because obviously he's like Billy Starks, he is a prodigy when it comes to wrestling, and I think being able to test himself against people in, Japanese wrestler, lucha wrestlers, just all these different backgrounds, I think is going to be huge for him.
I think it's really going to help him mature, like help him level up. Even I don't even like maturity. I don't like that word anymore.
Right.
Disregard that word.
Right.
Antiquated. That's me. Yeah. I'm me being a nerd. But anyway, no, I think that for him, Japan is such a great place for wrestlers to get from here to get excursion. That's why Mexican wrestlers go. It's the same reason American want. If I were wrestling, I would want to go to Japan.
Right. Yeah, me too. Exactly.
Because I'd want to learn from the people that I liked best and think are the best.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly enough, he had New Japan graphics behind him. I'm wondering if that means he has some sort of New Japan deal. You know what? That's right, because my friend was asking in the Discord if he was signed with New Japan now, because he's been with Noah.
Yes. And also,
but they have cooperation with them in DDT, right?
Yes. Yeah, because of Takeshita. Well, not just because, but Takeshita has the 3 contract deal, which Takeshita wrestled. So Takeshita wrestled on Collision because it was pre-taped earlier, but he wrestled yesterday. I went back and watched his match with Oiwa. Really awesome match.
Nice.
Really,
I haven't gotten to any of this. But
I
do need to watch a few
things, like, because we're still missing things on New Japan. So we went back. We watched Clark Connors versus Despy from the night before in their hardcore match. That match was I had seen before going into it that they went over 37 minutes. That's the longest junior. I think it's the longest juniors match and also the longest hardcore match. That definitely go watch it. It was really good.
That's what I've been told.
Then I went, and so then we went ahead and watched Goto versus Finlay because I had seen the result. And then we weren't sure if we would have time. And I was like, and so we did go ahead and watch Takeshita's match. We didn't get to go back and watch some other stuff, but I did see the Jeff Cobb and Callum Newman beat Naito and Haramu for the tag title. So it appears that Jeff Cobb has re-signed with New Japan because he won the tag titles yesterday. I don't think he's going anywhere. So whatever that report was a few weeks ago that he was listed internally on the roster clearly seems to be incorrect, or either that or something happened. But it appears that Jeff Cobb has re-signed because they put the tag titles on him yesterday.
Well, thank dog, because oh my gosh, I was really not gonna. I
just want him to. My only thing was I just want him to get paid. It's probably his last chance to make big money like that, and that's the only reason. But other than that, I did not want to see him there.
No, it's obviously my personal preference, has nothing to do with his livelihood, so it's irrelevant. Right. But I love Jeff Cobb so much, and everyone knows that. We love Jeff Cobb, and everyone knows that. So it's, again, if he gets to go get a big giant payout, like go, of course. Again, as our friend Jeff Hawkins on the Dynamite Show loves to say, get paid.
Yes.
Hello, Sean. Welcome.
Yes, apparently he did actually resign because he
not resigned.
No, he did not resign. He resigned. They put the
thank you for the distinction, Sam. I appreciate.
They belted him yesterday. So.
Yeah, they don't usually do that if they have an inkling that their person's going away.
Beat said, because see, I saw before Jeff's match, he tweeted, he's like, he was like, supposedly this is my last match. He's like, but find out tonight on the show. And and he's like, I'll make a comment or something. And so that's what apparently Jeff Cobb was funny after the match. He said, what was the internet? I thought I was leaving.
Jeff knows how to work the internet. He's like,
Yes,
these
he
people are
does.
just talking about me. I don't care. Now he'll weigh in.
Yes. So
yes, we love the Jeff Cobb.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
absolutely. Props to Newman as being as well the youngest ever. Yeah, because Newman, I saw when he was the first time I saw him was when they were doing in COVID times when they did that COVID when Will Ospreay did that COVID show. Newman was like the first person to wrestle, and he was 17 at the time, and I was like, "How is this kid 17?" Like, I was completely blown away by him.
That was the one where he wrestled B, right?
Yes, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And they introduced him as B, Priestley's boyfriend, which is one of my favorite moments in the world.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
That was one of my more favorite COVID shows. He just like had it in his like own personal or somebody's like a local that he knew's wrestling ring. It's amazing,
right? Yeah, and
yeah.
So,
He
now
was.
To see him now, we see him as part of the United Kingdom. He's the tag champion. He's what is he like 20? Is he even 21 yet?
Yeah, I don't know if he is. Right? What is up with New Japan and they're like 18 to 25? Their demo is literally their like staff.
Right. Yeah.
Walker Stewart is D-man.
Walker Stewart, he rules. All right. Okay. Back to Dynasty.
Anyway.
So yes. So and I guess if we're gonna make a prediction, I'm gonna go with I was gonna go with Top Flight and AR Fox, but maybe you want Nick Wayne to start winning some matches before he goes to Japan. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Crew and Nick Wayne for this one.
I think because of what they're doing, I think he has to kind of take this one. In fact, I imagine that it'll be something of a beatdown because they're gonna send him out like with people mad at him, kind of, or like confused about where he's at, and then he goes to BOSJ. Those of us who watch will be like, and then he'll come back and we'll see what he can do with that and what the next level of Nick Wayne is going to be.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I did not see Sonata's boots. I didn't watch his match. I didn't get to it, but I did see his glasses and his jacket, but I did not see the boots. So I can only imagine. Sonata's been making some choices lately. In the beatdown. Is he back? I don't know. I was like, this is probably not really a spoiler because it's Sonata.
It's not,
but I believe he has.
Oh, yep.
Because I saw him pull. Yeah, that's what I thought.
What you were about to say is
yes. Thank you. He did defect to House of Torture. Yeah, because I did see. There was a short on a YouTube short last night that had some highlights, and I saw Sonata unzip his jacket and had a House of Torture shirt, and I was like, do they not know what to do with Sonata? Because he's just faction hopping.
Wait,
he doesn't seem to know what he's doing.
I didn't think I could be less interested in what Sonata was doing.
Like I still like Sonata.
Now Gato proved me wrong in the worst possible way.
Yeah, I was like,
if it's Gato, I don't even know who's doing it anymore. Who's doing it?
Okay. He of course. Oh, so those boots are a thing again. Yeah, they are. That's so accurate. That is very accurate. They do look like Papa Smurf boots. I didn't know that was a thing again because I do remember Seth Rollins wearing them when they were like the it thing for like 10 minutes.
No one ever gets the matching gloves. I don't even. No one gets the matching gauntlets. That's the down.
Yeah, I don't even think it made it to its 15 minutes of fame. Like I think they were gone before like its popularity died down real quick. And so
you guys understand that you are not
Okada's going to bring it back a year later because why wouldn't he?
You're not Okada's pants, people. You're just not. You can't get us interested. Silly. I always thought that he had the fuzzy ones and then he had the Papa Smurf ones that also reminded me of like the moon boots that they had way back in the 80s that they used to sell to kids. Oh, I was like, why does Seth Rollins look like he's trying to walk around on the moon or Mars?
Yeah, those got really popular on the internet for like 10 minutes.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, I can't slag on it too much because the Young Bucks must have sold so many GD Nikes for them. So
probably.
Anywho. All right, let's get to one that I have. One I have a graphic for. Oh,
yay!
Why did I do that? Here we go. There it is.
So Max Caster has, if you have been watching, has been having this open challenge because he has the trademark that he's the best wrestler alive. And he's been doing open challenges, except for he loses every single one of them. He generally gets demolished in 2 minutes. And last night, he had an open challenge, and it was Mark Briscoe. And his reaction when he saw Mark Briscoe was hilarious. I will give him that. He was like, I don't want any part of this. No. And then Briscoe, of course. I mean, he got it. Caster got in a little bit of offense, but of course, we got a lot of some redneck kung fu, and then he wins the J Driller. And so of course he wants to. Oh, he got mad because Peoria. I think was it Peoria? Is that where they were last night? I think they were. They weren't chanting properly, and he said it's because they're stupid. But people in Philly are smart, so he's going to Philly to have an open challenge. And I would agree. I would agree with that, Brad. So this caster gimmick is actually pretty great for him. Just seeing him get killed in under a minute every week. Yeah, I'm enjoying that much of it. I am hoping. I predicted like back. Maybe the second or third one, I was like, please don't let this be Anthony Bowens answers it, and that's the one that Caster wins, is that he beats Bowens.
Yeah, Sam said that on the internet a while back, and I was a little miffed at her because I didn't want her speaking such madness into existence, because I don't like that either, and I really hope that's not it. So,
and he made a reference to, I mean, he generally makes a reference to Bowens like every week. It seems like most of the chat agrees. It's probably going to be Anthony Bowens.
I see. This is what I was going to ask you. Do you think this is where Josh Alexander comes in?
No. I think he's the wild card in the Owen.
Oh,
that's where I've been predicting his return. I think that's where he returns.
Oh, please!
And, that's where he debuts.
If it's Bowens, please don't let it be Caster wins.
But this is on 0 hour, and I hope they don't have Bowens return on 0 hour. But I could see that being where do they have? I'm trying to think if they have any history in Philly, like if they won any. I don't think they won their titles there. No, because this is the first pay-per-view they've had in Philly. So I don't know.
I mean, they had Ishii on the program last night. It could be him. Or did he just go home?
No, I think he's here. It could be Ishii. Wait, did Ishii already demolish? No. Beast Mortis did.
He was on last night to help someone, right?
No. But I was saying, I felt like, maybe that's what it was. I think, so Caster is, Sean says that a returning person from injury is Bowens or someone. I think Josh is the mystery person for the Owen. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
That makes
been
more
my prediction for a while. As long as his visa issues have been worked out, I think that's who enters there. I think he's the wild card, because then that's also but that's what they did with Speedball too. They made him the wild card and the entrant to be in the international championship.
Maybe Bowens comes out, crushes him, and knocks some sense into him and gets him to stop doing this.
Are the Acclaim done for good, or is this leading to Bowens and Caster reunion eventually? I think they're done for good. They had worn out their welcome, and fans have been begging for months to get Bowens away from Caster and to push Bowens as a singles wrestler. So I don't think, at least not anytime soon. Will they probably reconnect in the future? I mean, it's wrestling most likely,
right,
but I think they're going to give them a singles run. And I think Bowens has just been taking some time off because he's been doing some acting things, I think, and he's been like on red carpets and things. So I think they were just giving him time off, and also to let Max do this story he's been doing. Which, what would be really funny is if it's Billy Gunn.
Oh,
Billy Gunn just demolishes him.
I could see that.
That would be hilarious.
Does Double J beat the crap out of him?
Who did you say?
Does Double J beat the crap out of him yet?
Not yet. There's still time. Brad says doing at the pay-per-view even 0 hour feels like a big deal return or debut. Josh wouldn't be a good move for the Owen. Having him lose there would be a bad move. No, I still think it's Josh. I mean, I get your point, but I think it's Josh.
We'll see.
I mean, I guess you could, but I would not want to see Josh's debut being him coming in and demolishing Max Caster in a minute. I mean, of course, yes, it establishes him, so I get what they would be doing, but I feel like Josh Alexander needs something bigger than that.
Unless Josh Alexander comes out and does that, and Bowens comes out to help Caster, and they reunite, or some silly thing like that.
No.
I'm trying to I'm really getting in the weeds.
I make so Cedric or Cedric for the Owen. I thought Josh but I also think Hangman is winning, so Josh would lose. But he's also a Canadian, which might be another reason they put him in it. Or it could be. I feel like if
Josh
Cedric
is better for the turning.
I feel like if Cedric is coming, it's gonna be. I mean, you could have him debut there, I guess. But I feel like the stuff with Max is with MJF is not playing out the way it looks like. I think something's gonna happen. And I can't tell if that's how they're if Cedric is gonna. I don't think Matt, because they've been looking for a new member. I don't think it's MJF. I think this could be potentially bringing in Cedric. Oh, but you know what? It can't be Cedric tonight. Cedric's his 90 days isn't up until next month. It's up like 3 days before BOSJ.
He'll probably come for Double or Nothing.
He's got several. He's already booked for several indies. I think I've seen like 3 or 4 dates booked after his. After those dates, like he's booked like the 10th, which is how I knew he was not going to be in BOSJ because he got announced for something. He's wrestling Trevor Lee somewhere, and then he's wrestling in France. I think is where that promotion is because Mustafa has wrestled for them before. I believe it's in France, so he's got some dates already lined up. So he he wouldn't be able to come tonight because he's not, unless they let him out of his 90 days, which I doubt. It couldn't be here.
Yeah,
couldn't be him.
That's better for Double or Nothing. That's better for Double or Nothing anyway, because they usually bring in big talent on Double or Nothing.
Yes,
so that's right. Push him out to
which I think is why they're doing it. Sean says it's the biggest ECW not tied to AEW, and a Legends deal just incredible. It could be.
If it's just incredible, I will literally fall off my couch. And I will, because so many jokes to so little time. He's one. I mean, that's like when I first started like seriously watching wrestling. Is how long ago?
Yeah,
it's just incredible.
Yeah,
I didn't know I was going to get it. Just incredible.
Maybe they could bring in. Yeah, it is hard to find an ECW guy who's not either on a Legends deal with WWE or constantly praises them because they're grifting for them. So it's very hard.
Maybe she'll just come in and like punch him down once.
Probably so.
Flakes.
Well, welcome back. We're glad to have you back. We've just been trying to figure out who Max Caster's opponent is going to be. Oh, Ray Race is here. Welcome.
Greetings all. Welcome.
There's some good. This is true. Sandman does just say whatever the hell he wants. He doesn't.
I guess it could be someone who's big in Philly. Just anyone. I mean,
it's gonna be a football player or something.
Could
be an Eagle.
I mean, it could be an Eagle because they just won the Super Bowl, right? Or it could be, and it could be something like that where they do a celebrity style.
Yeah. Nikki said, I don't think it's Cedric. Oh my God, it'd be a PWX throwback if he came in against Hangman and the Owen. Nikki and I would lose it. I will just tell you. For those of you who are new here, PWX is Nikki and I's former indie promotion we went to for 11 years. And both Hangman and Cedric got their starts in that promotion. So, that would be very specific for a certain group of people. But then they were also in ROH at the same time, too. Cedric did some stuff in ROH. Because he was with Caprice for a little bit. And then obviously Hangman was part of the Bullet Club as well. So there is also that connection with them, but I would lose my mind if that's what it ended up being. I don't even want to know what the worst option possible would be.
It's not WWE.
Max Caster being in the ring is a pretty not great option. Other than him getting, I agree with Brad, other than watching him get beat down in a minute every week. That is satisfying.
No, that is satisfying.
But before we move on, I was telling Mel before the show that this match has not been made. However, they alluded to it during Collision, so I will not be surprised if they announce it during our show or closer to 0 hour starting. But last night they did a backstage segment with Shane Taylor and the Infantry and talking about they're tired of people sleeping on them. and they're tired of people saying they're going to get that others are getting caught lacking, which is a direct reference to the Ops. So I feel like we might get a match with the Ops and Shane Taylor Promotions on 0 Hour. So we will see if that happens. I hope it happens because I really want that match, and B, I need more Shane Taylor Promotions on AEW. Well, I mean, just anywhere, but I would take that. But yes, so that is, we'll see if that match gets announced during this show or closer to, or maybe they save it for, I'm hoping they're not going to save it for like, I mean, they could save it for just, next week's Collision or something like that. But because they made it specifically during last night's show, makes me think it's probably going to be a 0 Hour match, I would guess.
And real quick caveat, I gave Tony my money, and I'm going to Dynamite Collision here in Detroit when it comes to the Masonic Temple Theater. So in May, I will be going. And I realized it will be the first Collision show in Detroit.
Oh, nice.
When I saw Collision, I was in Toronto because I was there for Forbidden Door. So I have seen Collision.
Yes.
But I realized, I was like, wait, this is the first time Collision has come here. So nice. I got, it's pretty cool. They've got a balcony and a main floor. So I got main floor for Dynamite and balcony for Collision because I'm gambling that the balcony spot is more likely to come on a first time Collision over regular Dynamite. Since we've had Dynamite here, this will be our third time. So
Maria wants to know how Toronto was.
It's Canadian New York City. It's literally Canadian. It's fun. It's great. Wonderful town. It's very overpriced. Right now it might be good because unfortunately, but be careful going back and forth. But it's Windsor and Toronto and the entire province and Michigan are very, very, very intertwined. We literally just built a bridge together because the old one was getting old. So the Gordie Howe International Bridge will be opening next fall, regardless. And but it's big. It's a big Canadian. It reminds me of New York City, but a Canadian New York City. And I think if you've ever met Canadians or been to another part of Canada, a smaller province, that Canadians are like really nice Americans. And I think what's fun about Canadians is, as someone who's lived border states, because Washington, Maine, and Michigan have all been border states.
Right.
Like 3 main states. So Pacific Northwest Canadians are Pacific Northwesterners, but Canadian. Midwestern Toronto, this area here, Midwestern Canadians. And then the Northeast, that's the French Canadians. We won't talk about them. And I can say that as someone who was born and raised in New England. Just, you're not French. They don't even want you. I'm really sorry. It's wonderful. You're wonderful provinces. Josiah and I joked about it, actually, because he's that close. So thank you, Sean. It's what it reminded me of. When I was walking around, all I could think of was like Canadian New York City. That's what it's international. It's a major port city. It's big. It's cleaner, a little cleaner. But I was shocked because unfortunately they have a social safety net, and there were a lot of homeless and people that were not it was very city-y. So, but it was great. For wrestling, it was freaking awesome. And also the baseball stadium's really cool. That whole area, the Hockey Hall of Fame is there. Yeah, of course it is. It's wonderful. I had a blast. I saw Kenny Omega fight Will Ospreay for the second time. How can I complain?
Right.
Spoiled.
Yes. And so also this is interestingly enough, Collision in Detroit's the same venue that JCW ran for Lunacy last year.
Now, this particular location, they also have other areas. My Ren friends also did for a long time, and some of them still perform there for some of their side shows. But it's got a vaudeville
nice
segment to it.
Right.
Danhausen's lady is a performer there.
Oh,
so
yeah.
There's a shot of a Danhausen sighting there. It's his hometown, obviously.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But for many of them, I haven't been in the building, but I know it's very funny. It's just, this will be like a culmination of many years of my friends talking about the venue and telling me which part of the venue they were working in. And so this will be my first time in the actual venue, and it's literally right around the corner. I was looking at it, I'm like, we can park in the same place we park for the arena show. This is going to be great, though. This is so much better. When Detroit does smaller venue, like theater shows, still one of my favorite shows I ever went to was at Royal Oak Musical Theater. And it was in a normal proscenium theater, and it was an NXT house show, and it was one of the best wrestling shows I've ever seen.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Dominic Dijak was there. It was great.
Wow.
It was really fun. And War Machine, back when they were War Machine. It was great. It was so great. It was one of the best shows I've ever been to. Detroit's a great crowd for wrestling. I think we've proven that on our Dynamites, but it's going to be real fun in these venues. So anyway, sorry, sidebar. Just realized that I gave Tony my money. Although Jeff did say that I should have just threatened to have you ask him more women's questions to.
I did ask him a women's question.
Get him to. Well, I know you did, and he totally dodged it like he always does.
I mean,
he danced around a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's what he does. But yes, I asked him a women's question.
I mean, he did give the women.
To be honest. Well, of course, I knew somebody was going to ask it before me. So my question was obviously going to be about the Max viewers report. Right. But I knew somebody would ask it before me. So I was coming up. My other question actually was going to be, would you consider hiring Gail Kim? Because of the conversation we had last week. That was one of the questions that I had in the chamber, thought about it. And then the night before, I was like, they're also, I guess either way, the question would have been danced around. Because that's what he typically does, especially when it comes to women's wrestling. So then I just went with, women are main eventing more often. They main evented again last night. Like, is this a new thing that you're trying? Like, are you hearing, you finally listen? Because he made like a few questions after me. Somebody asked, you tend to listen to the fans
he does.
About certain things. And he was like, but then how do you he was like, even when there's some negativity, like, for example, the Death Riders, like, how do you know when to pivot and when to just like stick the storyline out, basically was what he was getting at. And he was talking about listening to the fans. And I was like, and it does feel like he is listening a little bit, at least after Revolution. I think he really realizes that he screwed up by having Cope and Mox main event and not having Tony and Mariah main event. And I feel like he's kind of trying to, so that's why we got the street fight with Mox and Cope, because if that match had ended Revolution, it would have been a 10 out of 10 all-time pay-per-view. And then I think that he also realizes that the fans really do want women main eventing more often. Hopefully he gets to a pay-per-view. So that's why I asked, and I threw in, are you doing this to more often to try to see where the women fit? Or is this because, you're building up to the Owen, or is this going to lead to women eventually main eventing the pay-per-view? Which of course he did not answer that part of the question at all, which I didn't expect, but I still was going to throw it in there. It's on record that I asked.
I know. It's just funny when I read it because I'm always like, yeah, okay, thanks for giving the women their props. Moving on. I'm like,
I mean, he did really put them over, and he did say that the women's stories have been central to what they're doing, and so that they deserve, basically they have earned those main event spots because of the stories they're telling, which seems to be a fairly positive trend. Hopefully we're going to stick on that way. Hopefully it's going to lead us to a women's main event. Again, always when it comes to the women's division, cautiously optimistic. So we'll see how this plays out.
Let's see how this plays out.
So we'll go ahead and get into those.
You want to go to the next one? Here we go.
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Let's go.
I have some thoughts about it.
Match. Yay. All right. Okay.
So this also bringing us back to the media call. Bandito and Chris Jericho obviously have been feuding for a while. Jericho had challenged Bandito in a title versus mask match. And then, so somebody asked on the call, I think it might have been Bill Pritchard actually, was like, what happened to Jericho versus Bandito? Like, it's not on the Dynasty card, but I thought it was for Dynasty. Well, Tony says, well, he made this great, Jericho made this great proposal, but Bandito hasn't even responded to him yet. And this match was never made official for Dynasty. And so but then he was like, well, we have to protect, we were making sure we protect Bandito's health. And he said that like 3 times. He was very purposeful with the way he said that. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? So I screenshot it and sent it to somebody, and they were like, I haven't heard anything. And so then my concern was, is he having concussion symptoms again? Because he had been injured. He came back, and he gets a concussion his first night back in a match with Jericho. And then, he's off TV for a few weeks, comes back, and he's been wrestling fairly regularly. So that was my concern. And then I was like, well, hopefully they're doing the smart thing and holding this for Supercard, because Supercard is May 2nd. We're 4 weeks away. No matches have been announced for this card. There's barely any stories leading into the Supercard of Honor pay-per-view. This should be on that card. But then literally 7 hours later, minutes before I'm going on an ROH podcast, this match gets made official. Like, then
why happened to be on Twitter or on socials like the whole time you were like having this conundrum, and I was like, oh, oops.
But then I saw something later, I believe it was from Fightful, said that no, it wasn't from Fightful. Maybe it was, I can't remember the source that I saw it from, because I think it might have been on, regardless. Anyway, they were saying that the match was not made official because apparently there was something going on with Bandito's representatives, but then they didn't go into further detail about what that means. So I don't know if Bandito's people needed some assurances. I don't know. It was the whole situation has played out very weird. I don't know exactly what's happening here. Again, this match should be on Supercard. I'm very annoyed that it's happening here. Regardless, Bandito better be winning that damn title. I don't see him losing his mask, but Jericho he should have never won the title again a second time, but Bandito needs to be champion, and then it needs to go to Shane Taylor. Bandito's got to be a transitional champion, and then Shane Taylor needs to win it. And I need the infantry to win tag team gold. And then I need Trish Adora to come back. I'm not sure if she's injured, but she hasn't been around for a while. I need her to come back, and I need her to win one of the titles. And I need I need Shane Taylor Promotions all dripping in gold for the rest of the year.
So hear what Sam says. I totally agree. It seems weird that they wouldn't have Bandito win this in this situation.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, they seem to have built it up where it's time for the belt to be transitioned off of Jericho, and he can jog on because it's time.
And then he can go take Fozzy on a very long world tour.
Really long.
A really long one.
International.
That happens, and their shows are on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And sometimes Sundays.
Yes. Agreed. All right, we can move on. This one's so silly. All right.
All right. So obviously we are getting some Owen Cup matches starting tonight, which is I've noticed this when they posted this graphic. There is a 4 in this graphic. I assume because it's the 4th Owen Hart Cup. However, none of the other Owen Cup matches have that number 4 in their graphics. Just this one.
Weird.
Because I saw it and I was like, why does this have a 4? And I went back and looked and I was like, the other ones don't. And Nikki was like, because it's been 4 years. And I was like, or it's the 4th one. I was like, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, now that because I noticed it now.
I think it's the 4th time they faced each other.
Is it? But why would they put that in a graphic?
I don't know.
We don't need that in a graphic. What is happening, graphic people? Listen, that collision graphic they had last night, they had down at the bottom, Jay White Samoa. We'll hear from Jay White. Then they have one picture, I think it was Chris and Thunder Rosa. The other one is Jamie and Billy. So it looked like both of them were having matches. And I was like, well, first of all, this was not on the match card that I saw from where they filmed it. And also, Tony Khan's not going to have 3 women's matches on one card. So, but he did not put, we'll hear from, it just said, we'll hear from Jay White. So they didn't say anything. Right. Sean said an error in the graphic from AEW? Couldn't be.
I know, it's a total shocker.
And because I noticed this, now you all have to notice it as well.
If this graphic had sound, it would be terrible.
Yeah, Hassan said he genuinely thought it was matches. I mean, perhaps. I just don't know why that would be in a graphic. I mean, Brad says, but why is it way up there?
Okay.
Fletcher versus Briscoe 4. Okay.
I mean, that would, I guess that would be my assumption. And I think I saw that somewhere now that I'm.
I mean, and I guess so, because it's the only graphic that has it. But all right, it's an Owen Cup. Why does it need to be? Whatever. You do you, graphic person. So here we obviously have Mark Briscoe, who is in like every tournament AEW has. He's just a tournament wrestler at this point, apparently. He will be facing Kyle Fletcher for the 4th time, because I believe, if I remember correctly, the last time was in the C2, right? I believe so.
What's that now?
I believe that is correct. I believe the last one was at the C2. I want to say.
The last time these two met, or?
Yeah, the last time those two met, I think, was
probably.
I believe.
I mean, if we're to believe the graphic, definitely. Maybe this is the 4th time they met in a tournament.
Has Kyle been in 4 tournaments? I don't think so. Mark has.
Well, this will be the 4th time, maybe. No, it is. This will be the 4th time. There we go.
Yes. So this match, I think, regardless, will
anyway.
Who do you have winning this one?
I got Kyle all the way on this one. I think this is just more pushing Kyle stuff.
Yes.
I mean, pushing him forward in the tournament. I mean, nothing, but it's Mark Briscoe versus, like, in this situation.
Sean says he feels kind of bad for Briscoe. He seems to be the first round welcome mat for tournaments and finalists, for the finalists typically. And you could also make that argument for Brody King, who is also in this tournament. You could also make that. But I agree, Sean, you're right. He is kind of and that's why I was almost surprised when I saw this. I was like, oh, you didn't put Beast Mortos in here to lose in the first round? Because they keep doing that with him too. Or they've done that with him. They put him in. So, but yeah, regardless, this match will be really good. But yeah, I feel like Kyle wins this one.
I got Kyle on that one. So there we go. Blam.
Okay, so this match came together, interestingly enough. This was originally supposed to be Murder Machines in this spot. Brian Cage injured his knee, I believe, at the Chris Bay benefit show. I believe is the show where this happened. And so I at least like with this story, with that Big Bill made it make sense, was I used to be a tag team champion. My partner, the former Ricky Starks, was the one who was pinned, not me. Also, Sting and Darby won this, but then Sting retired and just left with the title. And I never got a shot at a rematch for the tag title. So now me and my current partner are challenging you for those titles. And so I was like, well, at least in that part, they made it work. It's a bit of a stretch, but it works. There's stranger things that happen in wrestling. And so, and then the Hurt Syndicate was like, well, you need to get some wins first. Like, what are you talking about challenging for a title? And so, of course, they gave that. So they did get a couple wins, and the Hurt Syndicate's like, fine, we ain't got anybody else we can wrestle right now. So again, which kind of tells you what's going on in the men's tag team division, and why I caution people who want a women's tag division when we're still struggling with the men's tag team division. Granted, Brian Cage is injured, and that threw their story off, but they didn't really have a team to kind of put in there because Top Flight and the Crew are doing their own thing. We haven't seen Private Party since they lost the titles. They haven't gotten a rematch. So
do the Young Bucks still exist?
The Young Bucks don't appear to be coming back anytime soon. So here we go. I mean, maybe, so I assume they will save Murder Machines probably for Double or Nothing, I guess I don't know how long Brian Cage is supposed to be out. I just heard that he tweaked it. He injured his knee, and that was the only thing I heard. And this unfortunately is the first of several injuries that we found out about this week. Brian Cage, we found out, a couple weeks ago or a week or so ago, but then this week we found out about 3 more injuries. Yeah. One of those being Switchblade, Jay White.
He's finally getting a push, and he breaks his freaking arm.
Yes, and Mel and I talked about it Mel and I talked about it last week after the show that I had forgotten to talk about. I was like, I'm so mad that I forgot to talk about Jay White's promo on Collision last Saturday, because that was the Switchblade we've been waiting for. It just felt very impassioned. It felt like we were finally he was finally getting the push that he's been deserving, and he broke his hand and potentially needs surgery, or actually I think he does need surgery, or most likely will need surgery. then we find out. So he's obviously out of the tournament. Kevin Knight has replaced him. We'll talk about that match when it shuffles up. We'll talk about that match. But then Kevin Knight took his spot. Then we find out that Orange Cassidy has torn his pec. And which Nikki and I were talking about it in the last match he had, which was that big 4-way match. It was Orange Cassidy, Speedball, Ricochet, and Mark Davis. It was that 4-way match. Commentary was talking about it. Taz was like, he looks like he blew out his bicep. And he's like, look at the way he's holding his arm.
He's done it. And Taz was saying that because he's done it before. And I've had this happen too, where I've seen injuries because I've taken certain injuries before. And it's like, that looks a lot like this injury. And I think Bob saw it because he was like, he looks hurt. So, and then Taz was saying all that stuff. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. And then Nikki made the point that after he said that Orange Cassidy kind of like, he took a move and he rolled out of the ring and did not get back in the ring for the rest of the match. I mean, the match was winding down anyway. And there was, so obviously they were telling the story of how they didn't know if Ricochet or Speedball won. So Orange Cassidy didn't need to be in the ring for that, but he wasn't. And so he hasn't been. So there's no timetable for his return. And then the next day we found out that Mark Davis, who has been getting a push, has fractured his foot. However, they are considering the possibility of bringing him in for TV still. So I'm assuming hopefully that means he doesn't need surgery and he's just wearing like a boot or something like that. But obviously Mark Davis has been injured. He missed a lot. He missed over a year because he broke his hand at Wrestle
fractured Dream. It? If he fractured it, that's like because that's the one thing I have. I've never I've done a lot of crazy stuff, but I've never broken a bone. And
they said it's they think it's a fracture.
But I hairline fractured like the outside of one of my feet things, and it was just like they had to put me in a cast for a period.
Yeah, they didn't say, because at first they said it was an unknown injury, and then they said the next day it sounds, from what they're hearing, it's a fracture. He's got a foot fracture, and they may still keep him on TV because for storyline purposes.
But the new press, I mean, back in my day, it was like, paper mache and freaking but these days I've seen some of the newer braces, like they're pressurized in such a way that you can, I mean, he needs to be careful because you need to make sure it heals. Because one of the things that I will say is that it messes around with that's
why I was like, I don't know if he'll be back as soon as tonight. I mean, we do have some Don Callis from, obviously Kyle has a match tonight, but I was like, it's so new that I wonder if they'll hold him off TV a couple weeks and then bring him back to,
that'd be smart.
Do more Don Callis shenanigans. I really hope it's not serious because he missed so much time. And then he was injured when if I remember correctly, when he came into AEW, when they finally signed him, he needed surgery and they did surgery then he missed that year because of his hand. So I was like, please.
I guess the good thing about both of those, depending if Jay needs surgery, which just takes time because you have to heal the actual physical tissue and you have to worry about infections and stuff like that when you have surgeries. Right. But he could keep the rest. It's an arm. I would rather break my hand because I can keep the whole rest of my body sort of in shape. I can't do everything, and I do need to be conscientious, but I'd at least be able to do there's basic you could do sitting down stretches and PT, and whereas if it's a full on surgical a pec thing, that's some more. One of those is an outpatient surgery, and one may be an outpatient surgery with plus.
Right. Yeah. They haven't said, so at this point, it appears
I'm so mad.
Jay is and Jay was on Collision last night. His hand was wrapped up in a cast. He will be out for some time. And he was, from what they say, this changes plans a lot. This changes things they were doing in the cup, apparently. He was supposed to wrestle Will Ospreay tonight. They are keeping it close to the vest who was going to win, whether it was going to be Will or Jay. But they had big plans for Jay White, apparently, is what I have heard. And so unfortunately, but on the positive side of that, Juice is doing well and should be returning to practice in the ring soon and start working out in the ring and things like that. So it sounds like he could be, because he had back surgery in December. So it sounds like his progress is going well. And then also, yes, somebody mentioned it. Yes, to get well soon, because Friday night on SmackDown, we found out that Kevin Owens needs neck surgery.
Oh, good Lord. Would you people
Kevin has been injured Kevin said he's been dealing with an injury for about 4 months. They found out this week. The match with Randy Orton had just been made. Previously, that they've been building towards this match with Randy Orton. Randy Orton basically came back for this match. And unfortunately, it's not happening now. Kevin did say it's possible that he doesn't know if he can come back. He said that he doesn't take anything for granted. He doesn't know. He won't know. So unfortunately, that's off. And also, Joe Hendry is injured. I believe, I'm trying to remember, I saw the tweet the other day. I believe he has something, he tore something, I believe, I want to say. I'm sure somebody in the chat saw it too, but he is also injured. But he's supposed to have a match at Rebellion. So I don't know if they just have not canceled the match yet, or if it is not serious enough for them to have to cancel. So we shall see. But unfortunately, it's getting to that time of year where there's just a rash of injuries across multiple companies, which is always injuries anytime suck. But for WWE, and WrestleMania season is awful. And obviously in this situation where you have Jay White and Mark Davis, who both appear to be getting pushes, Orange is always in the picture. It's just unfortunate timing for everybody involved. And then Brian Cage obviously was going to have a tag. He was supposed to have a tag match tonight, and that's not, that's being put on hold. So it's very unfortunate, all these injuries that are happening. Sean, that is a good question. He said, where did the Gun Club go? They returned versus the Syndicate and then nothing. I have not heard, and I have wondered the same thing. I don't know what happened to the Gun Club and what they've been doing with them. Again, a team that you need for your tag team division who needs some help. And yes, and then also Buddy Murphy, he was injured way back at Grand Slam Australia, and he is also in a boot. There's no timetable for his return, as from what I've heard. I assume eventually we're getting the Hurt Syndicate versus Hounds of Hell at some point, but who knows what that timetable is going to look like now with that. But regardless, I do think Hurt Syndicate retains. Probably see some NJF involvement is my guess.
Yeah, I would feel like even though they're being like, I know there was something, some comment along the way that mentioned that maybe they pick up this win and Jericho does the lose. I think they're more going to go, Jericho loses and then gives out to them for losing. And they're like, what the F are you talking about? You just lost. It's kind of the way I see this going.
Regardless, I hope this means that they are getting Brian Keith the hell away from. Well, Big Bill too, but I really hope this means they're getting Brian Keith the hell away from Chris Jericho.
Can we just end in can the learning tree just
please get him out?
Can we wander off to a new forest and leave the learning tree to grow?
I do enjoy them too. They have made, for all that they've been given with this storyline, they have definitely made it work. But I feel like Brian Keith is being done a disservice.
I mean, I kind of look at this as a breakup moment for them because he loses tonight. He can't give out to them for losing. It makes it kind of complete. And then everyone goes, we're out of your, screw your tree. We've done everything we can. And chop your tree down. maybe Brian Keith says something really funny to him.
Yeah. Big Bill is a shiny bright. Big Bill always makes the best of everything that he's given. I think, is way more talented than people realize. And I'm glad that he is at least getting this. So, and I'd like to see him get, a singles run.
Agreed.
Here we go. Excited for this match.
I know, me too. This is going to be a banger.
I hate the circumstances.
Me too.
They're making the best of it, and I'm so excited. So this match is also for the ON Cup. It is Will Ospreay versus Kevin Knight, who Jay White made sure to point out last night. You are only getting this spot because I am injured. But otherwise, you would not be in this spot. You're welcome, basically, which is crazy. So last Saturday, Kevin Knight gets the All Elite graphic.
I know.
Wednesday,
amazing.
He gets a tag match with Will Ospreay. Sunday, he gets his very first pay-per-view match in AEW. Saturday, he gets announced for BOSJ. So things are looking great for Kevin Knight right now, which
Indeed.
I could not be more excited about. Huge. If you've watched the show, you know Mel and I are huge supporters of Kevin Knight. And so
yet another young lion, as Macau put it.
And it was funny because
the New Japan PC
last night or last week, Jay said in Jay's match with Kevin Knight when they first locked up and did a few things, he looked at him and he said, "Oh, you've trained at the dojo."
Love it.
Yes, I agree. Jay White did cut his best promo of his AEW career. Oh, the one last night or the one last week? The one last night was really
awesome.
The one last night was real good too. And what I liked what he said about the Death Riders, he was like, "You have not derailed me. You have given me time to plan what I'm going to do to you." And
Jay's great no matter what. I mean, he cut a great promo. So when he comes back, it'll be awesome. It just sucks that.
That's great. Brad said that saw the graphic and the reaction was gold. That's on the pay-per-view? Oh, wow. Yes.
Smart girl.
Yeah.
You are raising a smarty.
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, it's pretty obvious who's going to win this match. But regardless, I think Kevin and Will are going to, I think this might be our sleeper match. This might be the one that people overlook. They'll see it on the card and be like, "Oh, that's going to be a good one." I think they're going to be like low-key, like sleeper of the night, maybe one of the top matches of the night, I feel like. Because we know how Will is on the pay-per-view. The Kevin Knight is, he's on another level. He's right. He's going to make the best of this opportunity.
Well, I was going to say, this is an opportunity for him. He needs to, I think that these kids, the ones that they put through the dojo system, the ones that go to New Japan, they know when to take their shots. I mean, look at Clark Connors on Forbidden Door 1. That was like last minute.
I was thinking about that match last night.
You're not getting Hiromu. You're getting Clark Connors, and everyone was like hemming and hawing. I'm like, guys, back off. He was on strong, so you and I knew he was good.
Yes.
It was like, hi everyone, let me introduce you to Clark Connors. I expect Kevin Knight.
Then we got the Wild Rhino, but who he RIP Wild Rhino doesn't exist anymore. He's 100 proof Clark Connors now. But Wild Rhino, actually, the Wild Rhino did make a little bit. He made a little bit of an appearance last night in that match with Despy. Nice. When you watch it, you'll see. But yeah, I had the same thing about you and I were like, no, Clark Connors is great.
Yep. Just watch. Just wait. Just wait. Wait, that's been the rumor going around that WWE was gonna make Kevin Knight try out, even though last week, like when because he's a free agent. That was, I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but I know that that was the rumor they were trying to confirm was were they really gonna make Kevin Knight go to the PC and try out after he's been in multiple companies. Does that really sound that far beyond the pale for
no? Oh no, not at all. It's just laughable.
I mean, I guess like the like fantasy booker in me is like, okay, maybe Will gives it like, but then I guess at the end of the day, this is for a shot at the title, and obviously Kevin Knight is not in the title picture, so I guess that
which makes it interesting because they aren't saying for sure that Will, and yes, of course, and Sean makes a good point that he doesn't think the match was ever in doubt regardless of the opponent because of Ospreay is a smart money. Agreed. However, because of the push, it sounds like they were giving Jay White. Perhaps Jay White was gonna get the upset. I don't know. I mean, and maybe they would have worked around a way to get Will a title match at All In, but regardless, Brad says if Will wasn't lined up to win the title and if he hadn't lost so much last year, a Kevin Knight win here would have been epic. Agreed. Yes, he was great in TNA with Kushida, but I think TNA is behind Leon as the young talent upcoming guy. I do too, which is great because Leon Slater is great, and I hope they do right by him. So good for Leon, and then it seems like Kevin is making the best of his opportunities too. And I love the intergalactic jet setter, so I'm glad both of them will be in BOSJ. But yeah, this match is going to be a banger. And
it's going to be great. Yeah, I guess it's got to be Ospreay. It really does. So, All right, let's go on to boom.
All right. So speaking of the tournament,
match.
we've been wondering who Mercedes' opponent was going to be for this week because it was not announced until Wednesday night that her opponent would be Julia Hart, and it would be for round 1 of the Women's Owen Cup. We got a preview match last night on Collision. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend going to watch it. It was in the main event. It was Mercedes Moné teaming with her Grand Slam Australia opponent, Harley Cameron. Also, that was Mercedes' first tag team match since she and Naomi walked out of WWE together. That was her first tag
I do like the idea. I'm not going to lie. Like, if they can get something going, they should. That's a fun potential tag team right there. I'm into that. Like, that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If they want, right now, honestly, Mercedes is doing so much for the women's division at this point that I think that anything is possible. And she was one of the people who directly got screwed out of that title in WWE in the first place because they gave it to, they never took it seriously.
No, they still don't. They just made
you can't start something out by giving it, like, not giving it to the obvious.
Liv and Raquel won those tag team titles in February and have not defended them yet. And it looks like their first defense is going to be at WrestleMania because Friday night, they announced next week there will be a gauntlet match to find number 1 contenders for them. That's how thin the tag team division is for the women in WWE.
Classic Vince
and again,
fashion.
Why I still caution AEW. Granted, AEW has more women and probably do it, but AEW can barely book their men's tag team division right now. I do not trust them to book the women until they more consistently book the women in these and the singles matches first. That's why I will still caution.
Yeah, I'm with Sam on that. I mean, I think I want to see it. I just want to see it when the time is right, not prematurely and have it messed up again.
Right.
Like I was saying, in point, you're gonna fashion, like he went out and did the thing that, like, he thinks is funny, but that none of us want, which is I'm going to give it to the exact opposite person everybody wants to win it. And it's like, no. And that strategy it wasn't paying off for them.
No. And it still is something they're struggling with this many years later.
Need it.
But then on Collision, so yes, it was Mercedes and Harley, and they teamed up against Athena and Julia. Yeah. They each got their own entrances. Everybody looked great. It was Tony Schiavone and Nigel were both putting over the women.
It was a good showcase last night. It
was a really good showcase, really good preview for the tournament. Unfortunately, this is the only, unless they add something to 0 Hour, this is the only women's tournament match. So the men's side gets 2 tournament matches on the pay-per-view and the women get 1. Surprise, surprise. Unless something gets added last minute, which I doubt. We get this one, which will be a really good one. But obviously, I think it's pretty obvious that Mercedes is going to win. The bracket is, when you look at that women's bracket, it's pretty easy to see where things are going. However, the matches are going to be great, and I think the matches will be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. But that bracket's pretty obvious where everything is going. And then Jermaine made a comment. Actually, Jermaine, I'll get to your comment here, and then I'll circle back since I saw it earlier. So Jermaine says the chemistry between Mercedes and Harley is off the charts often. They need to keep these two together in some kind of way. Yeah, I would agree. They are a lot of fun together. And then Harley, I saw a clip of it. Harley did an interview on Talk is Jericho this week. Minnie Monet, the puppet, was Mercedes' idea. She asked Harley, she knew Harley had puppets and was the ventriloquist. She said, "Can you make a puppet of me for us to do with this story?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure." So she ordered like the outline of it, and then Harley had old gear, and she took it to the gear maker. I think his name, I want to say his name is Chris, works for AEW. She asked him, "Can you take my old gear and make gear for Minnie Monet?" They got it, the wig and everything else Harley did, which is a really cool thing to see that Mercedes is the one who it was her idea. And
I love hearing that.
Yes. Yeah, because Chris Jericho made the comment about selling them, and I think that's why she was like, "Well, we made it like Mercedes asked me to make this, and this is how we got here." So it was, yes, me too. That Mercedes selling Minnie Monet to shut up had me rolling. She was talking to the puppet. Yeah, it was really good. And then Brad says, as mentioned last night on Twitter, I haven't been behind women's tag titles, but now I need them for Mercedes and Harley to be forever champions. They're amazing together. You know what? I'll take that if that's how they get to it.
I mean, when she gets done doing this, she can move on to the next thing. We've got a pretty strong thing going on here. Maybe that's what happens. I mean, the sky's the limit right now.
For sure.
And he's willing to work with it.
Yeah. And Jermaine asked the question earlier, I think when we first started talking about the card, could we see this match open the pay-per-view, because MJF does not have a match, and as we know, MJF typically gets opening matches if he's not in the main event, but MJF has no match tonight. Could this be the one that opens it? Which, you know, that's not a bad idea. We talked about it last pay-per-view, how early Mercedes and why did I just blank on her opponent at Revolution? Why did I just blank on that? Anyway,
now I feel useless.
Everything's falling out of my brain, apparently. But Mercedes ended up being, Revolution, I believe, the second match. So you know what? Why not bump it up and make them open the show? That would be cool to have the women open. Even though it is the first, and you could say this is the first of 3 tournament matches. Obviously, the other 2 are men, but I wouldn't be opposed to a Mercedes Moné match kicking off a pay-per-view, because she's not done that yet since she's been here. So that would be,
this will be good for Julia too, because she's still working. Like she's getting there.
Yeah, and Julia looked really solid last night. I thought they all worked well together. And then we had last week we had Robin Renegade was her opponent last week. Mercedes has been pushing for a few months, supposedly, to be working with the Renegade. Charlotte should be back. She missed all of 2024 with an injury. She is reportedly on her way back, so we could see maybe some of that come into play tonight, or in the coming weeks. That'll be really interesting to see how that turns out. And
was it Chris Statlander?
No, it wasn't Stat last month.
Okay.
It was
sorry.
Anyway,
we'll do this forever.
Yes. So, yes, Mercedes and Harley is Rock and Sock 2.0.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I was there for that. This is better. I like this better. I loved Rock and Sock Connection. I mean, it was funny, and I love those two a lot, like back in the day. But this is a little better.
Yeah,
it feels a little more organic. But I mean, that might just be the preference thing of my aging and whatever. I got all bougie about my wrestling. So. But yeah, I think they're great, and I definitely, that is a really great analogy though. They've taken it to the new wave.
Yes.
Happy Sunday to you.
Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you.
Welcome.
But yeah, so I think it looks fairly obvious, but Mercedes definitely picks up.
Yeah, I think this is a Mercedes win.
Hopefully this sets Julia up for some big things. Moving forward.
I think she'll look good in it, and Mercedes will make her look good in it, and it'll be. Here we are. We've arrived.
Yes. So we have this match is one that I'm really looking forward to.
Me too.
Daniel Garcia versus Adam Cole for the TNT Championship with no time limit, no outside interference. Their history goes back. Adam Cole's very first match back was against Daniel Garcia. He even brought it up last night, and their face-to-face was, 2 years ago, you were great, but you were confused because you were with Chris Jericho. I think you're still confused because you think you're keeping that title and that I'm not going to beat you on Sunday. And then Daniel's like, well, you've had 2 opportunities to beat me and you haven't. I didn't even have to give you this match, but I did because I wanted to. So they have this great thing here. And then, so yes, they wrestled back, I think early March, they wrestled on Collision. And there was Shane Taylor Promotions got involved, and so it ended in a no contest. Then they had a rematch that ended in a time limit draw, which would be really, so that's what set us up here for this pay-per-view match. I think those first 2 matches were great. Now that we've got a no time limit and nobody can interfere, I think this match is going to end up being I will probably just go ahead and put this on my match of the year list. I have a
this is probably gonna be
how
good.
Strongly this is gonna go. I think who do you think wins this?
I really, 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 really want Daniel Garcia to retain. I think he should retain, but I'm not 100% sure he's going to retain.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm taking him because I think it's the right way to go in my mind, but I can see both. And I mean, in reality, I like it. That I'm not sure.
Same.
And that is something that I'm giving Tony huge credit for over the last several pay-per-views, especially, is he's finally getting to that place where there's a lot more matches where I'm like, I don't know the outcome necessarily, and I'm okay with either way.
Right.
I think they are trying to get Adam Cole back in the bigger picture mix, and so putting the belts on him and the fact that he has lost. But I think that they need to keep pushing Daniel Garcia because Adam Cole fundamentally is a bigger star than Daniel Garcia at this moment.
Which he pointed out last night. Adam told him, he was like, I have been a star in nearly every promotion I've ever been in.
Which makes it a bigger win for
I've been
Daniel
wrestling
Garcia.
longer than you have.
Yeah,
he made, so I feel like Adam Cole is finally back to where he was pre-injury. He has been putting on the caliber of matches that we have expected with him signing to AEW. I feel like I kind of already felt like Adam Cole was going to win here. I still am going to, not that I if Daniel Garcia retains, I will not be mad. I think Daniel has had a really great run. I think Daniel is very, very good.
I know you're all talking to me into it. I get it.
But Adam Cole, I feel like if they're going to do it, it has to be now. And then he also made 2 comments last night that made me think that, yes, he's winning. Today is his 17th wrestling anniversary, and his very first match was in Philly.
I was going to say he has roots in Philly because I'm pretty sure he was he wrestled in Chicago, right?
I believe so, yeah. And so his very first match was
that's that's OG.
I feel like Adam, I mean, I think even regardless of not knowing those 2 things, I already kind of was leaning towards Adam Cole, but then after hearing that, kind of was like, yeah, it feels like, because I just feel like if you're going to do it, you have to do it now. And losing to Adam Cole will not hurt Daniel Garcia.
That's fair.
From that. I hope that they continue to push him well without the belt, but I feel like this is, if they're not, because at first I wasn't sure. I thought maybe they were going to put the trios titles on Undisputed because they kept running those matches, but I feel like they are gonna I feel like, so if the only thing is if Adam doesn't win tonight, then yes, I think they're going to be trios champions. I think is where they're going with that, but for now I think that we'll talk about the Death Riders, but it feels like Adam Cole is probably
this.
But both, and then so Brad says Garcia should win for this, for his short legacy. It would be wonders for him. Plus, I think he's teasing a heel turn, which would be perfect here. That is fair. This is the perfect place in the card for Cole at this point in his career, though. Sean says, does Adam have a match of the year still? Yeah, because the last two matches he's had with Daniel Garcia have been pretty damn close. They've been. Adam Cole, I feel like Adam Cole is back to pre-injury Adam Cole.
I mean, pay-per-view Adam Cole, no time limits. I mean, he used to do this on NXT all the time, and he winning all the time.
Some people, I have heard the argument that Daniel Garcia's title run has been underwhelming. For me, I don't agree, but I can see why others think that, and I think there are more people who feel the way that you feel, Fernando. So I can see why you would.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I love Danny, but I get where people would. I mean, I understand.
I feel like Daniel's title run has been great.
Me too.
And I really like what they.
It's been good for him.
And I agree that like him beating Adam here would be huge for him. But then what do you do after that? You really have to do that. But then that's the same thing for Adam Cole. Like once Adam Cole wins, like. Next. You have to build it up for him too. So it is a match I think that could go either way. But I feel like with where things are at now, it's going to Adam Cole. But yes, I agree.
It should be a good match though. Should be a really good match.
I'm really looking forward to this one.
All right, hang on here. Let's give a here. I do it here. Just make sure that I don't have anything me on there. Where are we? Here we go. Hey,
speaking of the trios titles.
Speaking of the trios titles, Sam knew. She knew. We are syncing up.
Apparently so.
Can't help it.
The Death Riders finally remember that they have titles to defend.
Oh crap! I forgot.
They were like, "Oh wait, we don't have to just fight Jon Moxley's battles. We can actually defend our own titles. We have those." And they're facing off against right at FTR. So leading up
Sam's
to this,
least favorite possible. Well, 2 out of 3 of her least favorite.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not thrilled about this match. It'll be fine. But so leading up to it, we've also gotten singles matches. We had first we had Yuta beat Dax Harwood clean last week. He tried to hug Claudio, and Claudio was like, "No, I will pat you on the shoulder. I'm not hugging you. Gross." So then we had Cope beat Claudio on Dynamite, and then last night Pac and Cash. Pac was just being the bastard that he is. Pac is like, I know that Pac is good, but then I watch him and I'm like, he's so good, like 98 times during the match, because he's just, Pac is incredible. Mm-hmm. He was so good last night. Then of course we had to have House of Torture shenanigans, and Yuta and Claudio got involved. Claudio and Cope, fought on the outside. I missed it the first time until we went back and watched the replay as I'm trying to write the recap. Wheeler Yuta goes straight to the bell, and he goes and gets the bell hammer, which, if you remember, back when Death Triangle was a thing, Pac kept using the bell hammer.
Right.
And he kept trying to get Penta to use it, but Penta would not. And so that was a callback to the Death Triangle stuff. And so I see part of your comment, Nikki.
Nikki just popped me. Thanks.
I only saw the first 5 words, and I was like, I know what that said.
Oh, Nikki, I love you, girl.
So they use the bell hammer. Their shenanigans. Pac gets the win. Obviously, there's been some stuff going on with FTR. Where they're not getting along, and Dax has been grumpy, and Cash is like, we'll talk about this after the match on Sunday. And so last night, Cope offers his hand first, and Dax just looks at him, and then Cash offered his hand, and they both lifted him up. They hug in the ring, which I don't think is. I feel like that was just a cover for something that's going to happen tonight.
Oh no, this is totally a marriage of convenience right here.
Yes, and so. Nikki says, and I agree with her, that I wish this was the loser leaves AEW and FTR leave and never come back. They can go to TNA because I don't watch that anymore.
Oh, Nikki.
I agree with her. Fernando says FTR heel turn on Cope and eventually set up FTR versus Cope and Christian at All In. Brad says Death Riders win this and lose to the Ops. FTR turn on Cope, heel FTR, and Garcia as a unit. Jermaine says I can see the Death Riders win tonight, but lose them to the Ops. I like think
that better.
I think they are right. I think that Death Riders retain. I think that Cash turns on. Well, at first I thought I was gonna say that Dax is the one that does the heel turn, but Cash has had something. So I do. Regardless, FTR turns heel tonight. They've been.
Yeah,
as I mentioned before, some of us already think they're heels. Mm-hmm. They are heels to us, and they're heels in our hearts. But for the rest of you, they will be turning heel tonight, is what I think is going to happen. And I could see perhaps the Cope and I think we talked about that last week. Do we have does patriarchy turn on Christian? But you have heel Christian, and I need heel Christian to stay heel Christian because he's so much more fun. But you could have heel Cope, so you could do FTR, but the FTR if they were heels. So you could do, there's the one theory, FTR versus Christian and Cope at All In, which definitely is a huge possibility. So I could see that happening. And then, the Ops, I definitely could see winning the trios titles at some point. But I do think, regardless, I think Death Riders retain, but I do see a heel turn coming.
I agree with that. I think that this was definitely just a short-term thing, and that they always intended to kind of beat his ass and turn on him.
Right. And Cope's
this was like a tenuous thing. They were never.
And Cope's last faction turned on him, the Judgment Day, which he created, turned on him.
I don't
and kicked him out. So
I'm also on Death Riders for this one. I can't say that there's any really good reason to say otherwise, and that there's here's the room for shenanigans, and we know which match Nikki and Sam will be taking their break.
We are very pro Death Riders in this match.
Oh, okay. Well, I figured you guys would be casually, unless you're covering it, that you would be casually watching this one, but this is when you take your snack break and your.
This might be when Miley needs to go to the bathroom.
Exactly.
Sean says that Cash gets pinned after shenanigans and a Dax miscommunication. Cope and FTR have a town hall where they turn on Adam and Christian makes the save. Would be interesting.
Okay, I like that.
Well, and then you have but Christian cost Cope the title at Revolution. I think Cope is going to be pretty pissed at Christian for a while. So I don't know how quickly we get the Christian and Cope are back on the same page because he cost them the title. So I think it could be getting there, but I definitely see some of that playing into it. But then you also have where we saw at Revolution, Nick and Kip got involved as well. And so do they get involved? Do they come help Cope? Like, do they turn on Christian and help Cope? I don't know. There's some things that are kind of up in the air now, but it looks like we're all moving sort of forward at this point. So it'll be fun. All right.
Strap in, folks.
I am.
You're about to see a freaking clinic.
Right. Also, probably just going to go ahead and put on my match of the year list. I feel like this is going to be a banger. So we have Kenny Omega defending his international championship against Ricochet and Speedball Bailey. And we got here because Speedball Bailey thought he won the big four-way where Orange Cassidy got injured. Ricochet thought he won. So, of course, the answer is put them both in the match.
Of course it is.
Which I'm not necessarily mad at because Speedball has only had a couple of matches. He had a really good match. His match with Dralistico was actually pretty good last night. Okay. I don't think Dralistico knew Speedball's game because he did some kicks and he looked at him like, okay. And they kind of like, he bowed to Speedball. Speedball bowed back. Ricochet hated that because Ricochet was on commentary. Ricochet was like, ugh. And what is this respect shit you're doing? And Ricochet said that they also tricked him. They just told him it was going to be on commentary. He didn't know whose match it was until Speedball walked out there. And so he was mad. Then he was also mad because Speedball wasn't looking at him. But then when Speedball did look at him, he got mad at that too. So Ricochet is not happy. He is mad all the time, apparently. So
he's angry Ricochet. That's fine. He's with it.
Yeah. So yeah, this match will be.
I mean, I think this one. Obviously, I think to me, I mean, obviously, Kenny is probably going to retain here. I think that seems obvious.
Not even a probably. He's definitely retaining.
But he's going to do it by he's going to put these two over losing, and that's how good Kenny Omega is.
But who takes the pin here? Because Ricochet has been on such a trajectory as of late, but also Speedball has had like 3 matches. And so, of course, losing to Kenny Omega is not a bad thing by any means. It's not going to hurt either of them. But I feel like Ricochet has to take the pin here it can work because he's a heel. I feel like Speedball
and he's like trying to
take the pin here.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. You probably don't want Make Bailey to take it too early. So, like, it's probably Ricochet to keep propelling him because it'll just piss him off more.
Or as Sean says, Omega spins them both. Maybe he hits a crossbody and takes them both out.
Or he like does like a one-winged angel and then like smashes
lands
one
on
into the other.
Yeah, there we go. He puts the
one-wing angels Mike Bailey into Ricochet and then pins both.
And then he pins them both. Yeah, you could do that.
That would be an interesting finish. I mean, I wouldn't be mad. There'd be some people who would throw a temper tantrum about that, but I could see that happening.
I think regardless,
Kenny,
like
as was said in the comments there, he's Kenny by God Omega. He can pretty much do what he wants.
Yes.
And he would still put them over.
Yes. Definitely. Oh, we have lots of thoughts in the comments over here, which I have thoughts. So I make beats says I vote Kenny, but I gotta say I love Hill Ricochet. I have loved what he's been doing, but I'm still a little suspect of him because of the whole Andrew Tate thing, because apparently there are rumors that there have been people who have said he has retweeted him before and it was not just Hill character. So I look at him suspiciously and with a side eye. However, I will say if we're looking at wrestling only and the character stuff, his character work has been great. And he's finally locked in. So that's
he's finally getting somewhere with that stuff. I really am glad.
Yes. Definitely a show stealer.
Agree.
Match of the night. Yes,
possibly,
most likely.
It's going to be really close between that and like Osprey and Knight, and
yeah. The floor of this match starts at 5 stars.
I tend to agree with Brad on this.
Yeah. Speedball is a fantastic wrestler. It's going to be wild. Sean says Omega 1000%, but this has the potential to be a match of the night. Brad is talking about Dralistico, but yes. He says it's time to have a grown-up discussion about Dralistico being the best wrestler of the brothers in 2025, which is Dralistico, Roosh, and Dragon Lee. I would agree with that statement as far as wrestling goes. The outside wrestling stuff, they're both
just
not
Google them,
people.
Guys.
But yes, Dralistico he's been really good. Omega pins. We have the Omega pins both. Maria says Speedball shocks the world and wins this. If I did not think the main event of All In was going to be Omega versus Okada, I would agree with you, but I don't. And again, they don't have to have a title for that match to happen. I think there will be a title.
But
they don't need
I think
one.
there will be. However,
they don't need one. I think there will be. If Speedball shocks the world, I'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take it easily.
Let's hate. Bold prediction night. Woo!
Let's just call him the problem solver about pitting them both.
Yeah, I like it. I really do enjoy that.
Brad says Kenny and Ricochet double pin Speedball, call back to the 4-way match that Ricochet can't keep the pin on and Kenny gets the 100% win. Ooh, that would be interesting. That would be a lot of fun because then you and then does Kenny move on to his next opponent and then you have Ricochet and Speedball continue a feud? You could do that.
I like that idea.
And then move kind of Kenny into somebody else's orbit. I mean, I do feel like, but also you could do a one-on-one with Kenny and Ricochet at Double or Nothing, or you could do a one-on-one with Kenny and Speedball at Double or Nothing as well. So you could make both of them get their singles matches at some point, or you could do one at Fyter Fest and one or you could do them at Spring Breakthrough since we have those big matches coming. So they could do those and then move on to something else. Jermaine says, I believe Omega pins Ricochet after Speedball gets revenge on Ricochet for what Ricochet did to him and the last night after the match. Yes, Ricochet, after I forgot to mention that he...
It's a good way to set up the feud and get those guys going. I mean, because Kenny wins the title, sets this feud up. This is a good feud for Ricochet to have to get Mike Bailey into the mix. Potentially challenging for bigger titles or doing more. And I think that's a solid feud to start off with for both of them.
Yeah.
They could both do a lot. So I'm into that.
Yeah.
Kenny will elevate everybody that he comes near. So that's a vortex you do want to be in. My goodness.
For sure.
All right. Let's see here. We have
the one fancy poster. Actually, I did see this morning they made a fancy poster for Bandito and Jericho, but it was close to showtime, and I was like, it's not worth it. So I was disappointed because usually they do really fancy posters leading up to it. We try to include them, but this is the only fancy one we got, which I really like this one. I think really
I loved it. I put a little outline on it with our colors on it because I thought it was so cute.
Like it. I make beats says that poster was great. Yes. So we have Timeless Tony Storm taking on Megan Bayne. In this match, first of all, they had a great... Tony had of course, Tony being Tony had another great line that she said something about Megan coming from does she think she fell from the heavens or something along those lines about coming from the heavens, but she said, if heaven isn't between my thighs, then heaven doesn't exist.
Toni Storm is a gem. She is a gem.
I mentioned this, I think, last week or the week before. Part of me wants Toni Storm to win forever and be the forever champion, just like Athena. But on the other hand, this match has been tied up. This title has been tied up between Toni Storm and Mariah May for a year and a half now, and it's time to get that title on someone else and let Toni do Toni things without that. We did see her without a title, but she was kind of off doing other things, and then of course she came back and she was acting as the rookie, and then so we need to kind of see how she reacts to this, whether that's tonight or Double or Nothing or another pay-per-view that could remain to be seen. But what are your thoughts on this match, and who do you think takes it?
I mean, everything you just said is correct, and I love Toni so much. I think she'll excel fine in other fields of the women's division. I think they are going to put this on Megan Bayne to get her going at this point. I think we knew Toni's time with it. The second time through was probably going to be transitional, and so and I think they're trying to eventually make a play for getting Thunder Rosa back in the picture. They seem to be pushing pretty hard on the fact that she's
mentioning that a lot.
Title as
they brought it up last night too. Chris,
that was what really stuck it to me again was last night, and she looked great last night. They've been really pushing her a lot. They've been trying to get her into the program a lot. And they've been really hammering on the point that she had to vacate. Even somebody being made fun of by another female wrestler.
Yes, that was like, oh, you mean the title that you lost?
And she's like, I didn't lose it. And so, and I think that there's something there. I think that Megan Bayne and Thunder Rosa program potential does not disappoint me in any way. I think that sounds like a good combo. There's plenty for Toni to poke her nose in. Start other shenanigans with people.
Right. I agree. I think Megan winning here in kind of an upset does more for her. It puts her over. She's already been dominating, and it makes her a serious threat. I believe Brad pointed out before that this is what kind of Megan did in Stardom. She basically picked the baddest bitch there was and went after them and took their title. And so I feel like she's mirroring that here. And I feel like it will push the division forward, as in we need to move away from Toni as champion. Again, Toni is great. She doesn't need a title. We've got the Owen stuff happening as well. Do we have Toni going for a different title? I mean, I know it's the TBS championship, but still, what does Toni do after this? But also it gets the title away from Toni and Mariah, puts it on Megan Bayne. Megan Bayne could be a transitional champion. Like, I don't think it won't hurt her to have, a 3 or 4 month run as champion. Then, like you said, their Thunder Rosa has been, they've been definitely bringing that up a lot, that she vacated. And when she vacated that title, the interim champion was Toni Storm. When she got injured, that Toni Storm was the interim champion.
That's true.
And then
there is an argument for her to hang on to it.
And then Toni legitimately won the title after it was so. So there is all that kind of playing in the background. Brad makes a good point that something interesting to think about is Penelope helps Megan. Does someone show up to save Toni? Mina had her final match today in Stardom, so it wouldn't be her.
Possible. The
only person I don't know what the hell they're doing with it. I don't think it'll be like a Riho or anything. I don't know what they're doing with or Shida for that matter. Sky Blue has not returned. However, Sky Blue was the heel and was aligned with Julia. So I don't know if it would make sense for it to be Sky Blue, but she's the biggest name that I can think of that would be returning. And I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be anybody that returns, but they aren't like, I don't think it would be Deanna because apparently they have nothing for her. Would be really interesting to see how that played, how they do that. If that's a really good question, Brad, because I don't know, because I was trying to think, maybe Anna Jay, we haven't seen her in a while. Maybe that's how they bring her back into the fold. I was trying to think of, because apparently I don't know what they're doing with Ty Mello. We haven't seen her since she wrestled in Japan, so I don't know what they're doing there. Sean says Maki Ito. Maki will be in town soon because she's got the Vegas matches that she's doing some matches in Vegas, so she's around. She's been doing so. There's that. You could, she would be great. We haven't seen Maki in a while. Let's see. I'm going to some other comments because that is a really good question. Toni Storm is a star. Jermaine, going back to the other match, I believe that after this match we will get a few between Ricochet and Speedball. I make beat says I vote for Toni, but Megan looks strong, and she looked like a beast at the GCW show the other day. Brad says he's so up in the air about this one. Megan coming in and dominating for the win would be huge, but Tony doesn't lose anything by putting her over. But Tony is as the champion is perfect. And like Mel said, do you have her then wrestle Thunder Rosa, because Thunder Rosa never the interim championship was to Tony Storm, so they have that history. Do they do that at you could do that at Double or Nothing? So that, that's definitely a possibility. Sean says, I'd love for Megan to win. Tony can do anything. She's goated as far as AEW, 100%. Thunder Rosa has had 2 title matches and lost both after vacating the title. It's time she moves on. Also a fair point.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
Also a fair point.
I mean, I can't argue with that. We need to go with what the fans really want. So there's lots of women out there.
Maria says timeless win.
Maria's being Miss Contrarian or whatever here today.
I like it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the bold predictions. Why not?
Sean says, I enjoy Thunder Rosa, but she's fallen so far down the ladder, in my opinion, but she's always a contender.
I get that.
Yeah, she's definitely a contender for sure. Is she a title winner? I don't know that she is anymore, at least not for this one. Maybe the TBS championship down the road. But world title, I don't know about that. I would agree with you kind of there. Hassan said too many women in Guantanamo Bay. There are a lot of women in Guantanamo Bay. Just like on Alcatraz, these women keep getting stuck on these islands.
Thank you for that. I appreciate. I love the. Yes, I love it. Just love it.
Jermaine says, what if Megan Bayne was the one who took out Camille, and Camille returns to help Tony win the title by screwing over Megan Bayne to start that feud? That's interesting. They could, because I can't tell I don't know what they're doing with Camille. She's under contract, so they don't have to do anything. They can just leave her in the back like they do with other people. But I don't know. Camille did not go over so well. But also maybe they try again and realize that maybe this was not the setup they should have used for Camille. Maybe they should have done this instead. So perhaps. And Sean says Megan is in the spot that Camille should have been in instead of being Mercedes' bodyguard. I make beats. Says all right. He sees Tony winning. Thought that he was just joking. I think about the Guantanamo. I believe that was the Guantanamo Bay.
I love it. I know. I totally get it. It's like Twitmo. It's fine. These words are wonderful. We also have a friend and I. I mean, you guys are gonna hate this. I know it's a common thing, but my friend and I tend to call people inside the WWE bubble Vincels, so I can't help it. Is what it is.
So before we move on, so what was your official prediction for this one?
I'm going to say Megan Bayne on this one. I think
am too.
I mean, I feel like this is the moment, and we'll see how that goes. I mean, she's had championships, so she should be fine. And it's time to, like you said at the beginning, it's time. Almost 2 years, and we love it, but it's gonna play out if we don't watch it, and then we're gonna start
be the bloodline. If it's gonna be the bloodline,
they need to stop before we start hating it. Right. Like what we're feeling with the Death Riders or the Bloodline or whatever the thing is. I think that TV shows, especially, are starting to realize, like, at some point we have to end our show because, what we do in the shadows or even Gemstones this year. It's like we love it, but at some point this plays itself out and it gets convoluted to a point where it's just not funny anymore or not fun.
Speaking of Gemstones, Nikki was like, she's like, Tony's media scrum's going to cut into this. So our plan is, while there's always like a half-hour break between the end of the pay-per-view and the start, we're going to see if we can't get Righteous Gemstones in before the scrum starts.
We have been watching along mostly. We're not watching live. We watch usually because karaoke's on Monday. We usually watch it on Tuesday. So like Tuesday is our day to catch up on the Sunday and Monday shows that we miss. Like Tuesday is our because I like singing on karaoke.
We follow part of it is we both follow the Righteous Gemstones on Instagram and they post things.
Oh, see, I don't do that. See, I'm smart. I don't do that stuff.
Yeah.
Even
we've been following them for a long time, and so because we didn't start. Yeah, we started. We didn't watch season 1 until right before season 2 was starting. We binged it all, and so then we followed on. After that,
we only started because you guys were the last straw because all of our it was people from Ren Fair and people I respected were telling, like people who know my tastes were telling me you need to watch the show. And then I went to Ren Fair and then I came home and you guys were like, yes, you have to. And we were like, fine. So we got to binge a bunch while the season was catching up.
Yeah.
So we ended up binging all of it. And now this year we're like, crap, we're caught up for really real now. It happened with Stranger Things too. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, right.
And again, that was just like you and Nikki were the last. You guys and a couple things were like, okay, fine. Everyone else has been saying it. Now Sam and Nikki are saying it. It's like all my people I like and Sam and Nikki are the last straw in a good way, in a wonderful way. I mean,
I'm glad we could be the last straw for you.
It's fantastic. It's lovely. And you people all know my taste. You're not wrong. Like,
right.
Virtually never are you wrong. But we usually, that's kind of like our thing because we kind of hate being caught up, but there's like some shows like Reacher, we can't wait. We just can't. We watch every freaking week. We're like, is it dropped yet?
That's how me and Nikki and my mom just did with Paradise on Hulu. Because they gave us the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's what they do with Reacher every year.
And one drop, they gave us the first 3, and then the rest, up until the last, I think it was 8 episodes, was individually. And every single week we had to wait for it, and so that's what we were watching every week. Was
what I usually do,
and I highly recommend Paradise on Hulu.
Nice, I'll check that out.
It's very good, and they got picked up for us. We found out towards the end. I think we found out episode 7. The week that episode 7 aired, I think we found out that it was getting renewed. They haven't even. My mom's like, "So when is it coming back?" I was like, "I haven't even started filming yet."
I have to like this. So what I did was I started searching shows on DuckDuckGo because if I search them on Google, it starts aggregating spoilers to my stupid face page, and I almost got hurt on that on the bear.
That makes sense.
And so I don't do it for that explicit reason. I don't follow the social media on anything that I like to watch, pretty much. I mean, wrestling, I can't help it. Yeah. But the other stuff, the other fiction, the other stuff that's fake that I watch. And so that's how we do it, is usually like, but yes.
Yeah. So Nikki says that Righteous Gemstone, she highly insists that everyone watches it. It's really fucking wild to be prepared for wild ass humor. Yeah. If you are into more.
If you're a wrestling fan, it kind of fits your wheelhouse. And probably. For me, I'm a wrestling fan. I do a lot of carny shit. What can I say?
Maria. Yeah, I have a coworker who highly recommended Severance as well.
My biggest issue with all of these, there's a bunch of shows that I haven't watched, is because I don't have an Apple, thus I don't have Apple TV. So
get that.
I haven't gone out of my way to subscribe because I have plenty of content.
I have it because I had it for free for 2 years with my phone, and then I kept it for other reasons. And then Apple TV is what I use to watch New Japan because it plays better.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Typically what I use it for.
But and I mean, it's only because we're like PC people, so it's pretty much like, I mean, I can stream that stuff on my stuff because I've got, even our laptop is pretty much it's a gaming system. It's just, I use it for work. But it's like locked down. That's our like, you cannot touch this computer. It will F-disk itself. All right, so this one.
All right, so in our, what I assume is the main event, is John Moxley.
I assume. I always assume
the belts. As far as I know, they haven't officially said, but clearly not a women's match. Clearly not a women's match. So, John Moxley versus Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship. Swerve won. That's right. Yeah, he won at Revolution. He won the right to be basically the number 1 contender for John Moxley. And that was kind of the only thing that saved Revolution, was that the pay-per-view actually closed with Swerve coming for John Moxley and the fans being behind him, and it didn't actually end with that terrible main event. But this week, I think the most interesting thing that has happened in all of this is on Wednesday, when Swerve, towards the end of the night, poor Renee. People are always threatening her husband to her, and there's nothing she can do about it. She just has to stand there. So Swerve told Renee, "I'm going to find your husband before this night is over. And basically, I'm going to beat his ass." And she just like sighs and rolls her eyes and like, okay. So Swerve is looking for Mox. And Hangman finds him, comes running at him, have to be held back. Violence is forever. It happens to be Violence is Forever happens to be on there, and they are part of the security that holds back Hangman Page, and Hangman is yelling at Swerve, and he was like, you think you're coming for that title, but that's my title. And he was like, and Swerve was like, you burned down my house. And Hangman said, you deserved it. And he said, I know. Hangman said, what did you say? He said, I know. Well, then Hangman was like, well, what the hell do I do with this information? And he storms off. Swerve goes out to the ring and confronts Mox and ends up in glass. And everybody, instead of talking about Swerve ending up in glass, is talking about Hangman and Swerve, which rightfully so. This is, besides Tony and Mariah, this has been our best story. So this definitely changes the dynamic, because Hangman has been out for Swerve and trying to stop him from getting the title because he wants it. But now Swerve is agreeing with him that he was right. That's been the thing. Hangman is right. Hangman has never been wrong. And now Swerve is agreeing with him, and Hangman does not know what to do with this information. So do we see Hangman get involved tonight? And try to help Swerve? Does he cost Swerve? Is it just more House of Torture shenanigans, and we have Hangman, and we have Death Riders, and we have the Patriarchy, and whoever the hell else wants to get involved?
Okay, now I'm starting to have this picture, because I just remembered that Hangman cut that promo about how he would never, ever let Swerve hold the belt again.
Right.
And that he would do everything in his power to make sure that he was, even if he didn't have the belt, that he would make sure that Swerve was denied the belt. And that's making me think that Moxley is going to retain here.
And also, Hangman is in the Owen. And the winner of the Owen gets an automatic title shot at All In.
They could be setting up a Hangman versus Moxley thing here.
It could.
The more because I just remember that promo that he cut where he was like, I will never let you touch I won't let you touch. I know what you love, and I don't care if I have to lose it to make you lose it, but I'll do it. And I was like,
right.
And he's been angry Hangman, remember?
Well, and somebody pointed out how like every week he goes into dressing rooms looking for Swerve, and Renee asked him one day, because she was standing outside Swerve's locker room, and she asked Hangman, she said, what are you doing? And he said, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it's starting to make me. It really is starting to make me think that Hangman cost him his that title thing here, because that beef that runs so deep.
Mm-hmm. So I
don't want Mox to keep the belt, but I don't necessarily see him dropping it here.
I go back and forth.
Yeah,
I think Swerve would be a great champion. I would not be mad, and I get why people are frustrated with the Death Riders, because I'm frustrated with them a lot of the times too. However, I don't, and Hangman, and if I remember right, Swerve won the title at Dynasty last year, I believe. There's also that. So I feel, but I did kind of I've been thinking that Mox is going to retain, because I don't know exactly what they're doing with whatever the end game is here. I don't think the end game is Swerve. I think Swerve's just a part of this path. However, the stuff with Swerve has made me kind of question. I'm like, well, the fans were pissed. So they gave us Mox and Cope in the title match. They've been giving us more women's matches. Could Tony be like, you know what? They fucking hate the Death Riders. They love Swerve. Let's just put the title on Swerve and, go from there. So that's been kind of in my mind. But also, I feel like we have told the story with Jon Moxley and the Death Riders this far. Darby, we have found out, climbs Mount Everest very soon. I don't know how soon he comes back after climbing Mount Everest, because clearly he's going to have to take time to readjust and get back, and also to prepare to get back into the ring as well.
Yeah.
So Darby's back-ish soon.
Assuming he lives through it.
Eddie, I still have my theory, my Eddie Kingston theory, which my only concern about, the only big hole in that is he's not the young guy to step up, which is kind of when Jon Moxley's whole thing about the Death Riders is that a young guy steps up to them, lives up to their potential, beats him, and takes the title. So Eddie Kingston obviously is not young. However, Eddie Kingston fits so many of the other storylines that they, or plots in the story with the Death Riders that it could be Eddie, but Eddie is still not on track to come back for a few more months. I can't tell. Again, I don't think this story is as bad as the Devil storyline by any means, but they did not pivot away from that story, and I don't know that they're going to pivot away from whatever story they're telling with Jon Moxley and the Death Riders. So I am going to say that Jon Moxley retains. But there's got to be a reason for him. Does he retain because Hangman cost Swerve? Certainly extremely possible. But I also think Swerve has thrown Hangman off his game by agreeing with him, and Hangman doesn't know how. Maybe Hangman goes in to help Swerve and inadvertently costs him the title, and Swerve, that kind of resets their whatever they're doing off. Hangman appears to be the most likely to win the Owen Cup. And I do think so Swerve could win tonight. Hangman could win the Owen. You get them at All In. It's certainly possible, but I could also see them doing Hangman versus Jon Moxley. But I feel like, so I could see them going either way, but if I have to call it right now at 3:24 p.m. on April 6th, I'm going to say Jon Moxley retains.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I mean, I think that it's, for whatever happens and however it happens, I do think that he's keeping this championship tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think they're done with him. I do think that it's pretty funny that, because it has to be summertime for you to climb Mount Everest. So,
yeah, I think it's, I saw the date the other day. I think it's like soon.
It's the window is like, Venkin says that it's, if he leaves on the 15th, I assume of April, that he'll be back in the middle of June. So,
okay.
That sounds about, that's got to be close to right. I'm trying to think of where it is on the planet, but
Yeah.
It's, because you can't go in the winter.
No, you can't. And I did see this come up. Brad did say Sean Ross Sapp announced that the main event is Jon Moxley versus Swerve, and Swerve's family, including his kids, are in town, which is interesting.
Okay, but that fuels my suspicion on Hangman being a big jerk to him. Because he burned down his children's house. This all started though because of Swerve breaking into Hangman's house,
right?
And that was the reason that he's been in the house.
He went into his child's room.
Busting him up in front of his family might be right exactly what the deal is.
Yes.
Maybe
this was Hangman's intention because Swerve has thrown him off. Right. Maybe he's like, maybe he has second thoughts, and it ends
throwing
up
someone off can piss them off even more. If someone tells you it's the classic thing. BJ ran into this all week. Someone tells you the truth, and then you spend like the whole week dealing with people who are telling you that the truth doesn't matter. Right. So.
Or that'll open a whole other can.
We're not starting on that. I just have to throw that out there. If you know, you know.
Yes. I Make Beat said he votes Swerve whose house. Maria says Brian returns and gets revenge on Moxley by costing him the AEW championship. I have considered that. I have considered it, but not here. I have considered that he comes back and they set up a match for All In. But I don't know how we get from A to B. So maybe this is how we get there.
Maybe he doesn't really need Double or Nothing.
He can just come back. Sean says Tony will say the course and write it out as Mox's champion. Let's see here. Yeah, Hassan was talking about the security guard, and yes, that tweet. Kevin Koo from Violence is Forever did tweet earlier that yes, he wanted them to kiss.
Oh, jeez.
Fernando says Hangman will help Swerve win the championship and kill the Death Rider story once and for all. Brad says, I want Swerve to win, but Mox should win for the story. Beating Mox at All In is bigger, especially if Swerve wins and it's another short reign. Yeah, you do have to worry about that Swerve being a transitional champion if he wins here.
No.
Brad says Swerve wins at Dynasty and losing it at All In was already done last year. Yes, that is correct. Venkin says, do we really assume Will is winning the Owen? No. I don't know. Will could win, but Hangman could win. But Will,
I don't necessarily assume Will is, because
I think Will could. I feel if it's not Will, it's Hangman. And if it's not Hangman, it's Will.
Which I mean, they could face off. Are they in opposite brackets? They can end up facing off.
I think so. I believe they are in opposite.
I'm ready, and I'm here for that match all day.
I make Beats says that he thinks Hangman will win the Owen to face Swerve in the main event at All In. They certainly could do it. Brad says the end of the pay-per-view should start to set up for Anarchy in the arena. Death Riders versus Swerve, Page returning Danielson, and maybe Ospreay. I am down for that.
Sounds good to me.
Hassan said, could Danielson return and set up a match for Mox at All In? I heard someone else saying this is a theory, which I touched on briefly as well. Danielson definitely, I feel like he's coming back soon-ish. Is it as soon as tonight? It would make sense. It would kick things off. You'd get him back on TV for Spring Breakthrough. That would mean a lot to have him on Spring Breakthrough. So perhaps,
especially since it's such a, especially for what it is, that's
which I didn't think about it until I started to say it. But yes, you could have him back for that. I was thinking he may come at Double or Nothing because of his history at Double or Nothing. But you could get that story started tonight. I feel like something big has to happen here to make Jon Moxley retain and make it important to figure out. Because regardless, if Jon Moxley beats Swerve, people are going to be pissed. We already know that.
Yeah, of course.
So you have to give them a reason to let them be pissed, but also make it make sense.
Yeah.
But people are going to, even with making it make sense, you're still going to have people pissed.
I mean, come on.
Let's see. Brad says Darby's going to be out longer. It takes at least 2 months to climb the mountain. Right. And then you have to have recovery time from getting down from the mountain and then getting back in ring shape. So does he he might be coming back at the same time Eddie Kingston does at this race. I mean, at this point, Vinkins says Darby's gone till half of June. If the climbing starts the 15th. Yeah, that's what I thought was April 15th is when Darby starts. So like it
sounds right.
That's a week from now. A week from Tuesday, I think.
You're right.
Sean says, I think Mox retains Riders beat down Swerve and Hangman, comes down and makes the save. Conflicted Hangman loses to a debuting Josh Alexander, and Swerve and Hangman must figure it out. That is a very interesting theory, and I like it.
I'm interested.
I make Beats says also there's a 60% survival chance with Everest, so here's something. Yeah, there is also that part. Darby has to.
I was just saying.
We are just assuming that Darby is gonna like climb up there like it's nothing and come back down. So
I mean, I've watched a lot of documentaries on it, so
yeah, I make Beats think it's a really good point. We have to. Thanks for throwing some reality in there for us.
I'm glad that someone else was with me because I've watched a lot of documentaries and stuff on that, and so it's a little dangerous.
It is very dangerous. Nikki said, I think Mox retains too. I make Beat says, I'm the same build as Darby and feel the cold. I can't imagine doing that. Yeah. Neither. Jermaine says he thinks Hangman cost Swerve the title shot tonight, but Swerve cost Hangman the Owens tournament Double or Nothing, which sets up Ospreay and Mox at All In. Yeah, I could see them doing that one. Yeah, they cost each other the title matches, again, keeping them from the title because they both said, you're not getting this title and I'm not getting it. I mean, if I can't have it, you can't have it.
No.
Vinkins says, we all say that, but what happened to Jungle Jack joining the Death Riders? That was still my theory. I don't know what the hell happened with him. But Anna Jay also took time off, so maybe he took time off. I really thought Jack was gonna. That's where it seemed like this was going. Let's see here. I make Beach say, I'm just saying Darby doesn't have a lot of meat on him. Speaking from experience, it's going to be cold as fuck. He said, not that I climb Mount Everest, but listen, you make points.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's just science and reality. That's fine.
Grace says, special writer on this insurance policy for sure. And
we were actually plotting out what Darby Allin's insurance policy, Tony's insurance policy on Darby might look like, and because he has a vested interest in Darby not dying.
He does very much so. Very much so.
Welcome to the wonderful world of insurance.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yes. welcome.
And Vitkins says there are a lot of people not there at the moment. Yeah. So do they bring people back to get them, into this? There's
this is a good point also.
I feel like, maybe I'm putting too many expectations here, but I feel like they have to do something big in order to keep Mox on this path and also keep the fan favorites in Swerve and or Hangman winning this title. And I could see that and I don't even know if I could see Hangman going out with the intent of stopping Swerve, changing his mind, inadvertently costing him the title, and then Swerve just not giving a shit and costing him the Owen. So I could definitely see that, something along those lines playing out. Sean is correct. Darby must have a huge life insurance policy, or Tony does.
Tony definitely does. Tony absolutely is carrying insurance on that, dude. I'm telling you right now.
He should be carrying it on him regardless.
From what I learned this month,
out at Everest, but
from what he would have insurance on all of his wrestlers more than likely. And they're independent contractors, so they might have to carry their own insurance. That's the fun part of being an indie contractor. If you're someone like who knows that, I've done that.
Right.
But yes, there's no doubt in my mind, because of what he has invested in that player, that he's got a a volume or two on that guy.
Well, you have to, and especially because the man's been hit by a bus. He broke his foot last year and couldn't do Mount Everest last year because he broke his foot. So yeah, I'm sure he's got an insurance policy on him. Vinkins says, I saw a post recently that people were missing Anna Jay, Sky Blue, Nyla, and Sheeta. Yes, Sheeta seems to not be doing anything wrestling related. I don't know what's going on with her. I saw something recently claiming that Nyla Rose works in the back. I don't know how accurate that is. Sky Blue has been out with surgery. I don't know if I don't remember hearing if she's been cleared. I assume she's coming back soon-ish. And then Anna Jay took some time off. Apparently, I guess that's what was going on. She just randomly popped up again on social media like a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know if she's getting ready. So between her and Jack, so I don't know if they just took some time off maybe, and now they're coming back, or I don't know exactly. But there are a lot of people missing. Lady B is here. Thank you for joining us. She said she's hoping the show ends with Hangman and Swerve having a bestie moment. And she sadly assumes that Mox is winning.
That was kind of our consensus here as well, hon.
Darby Allin taking time off for nearly killing himself at work in matches to nearly kill himself climbing on a mountain is the most Darby Allin thing ever. He also says with this attitude, Darby will probably, with the attitude Darby has, he will probably live until he's 120.
You're probably right.
Probably trying to outlive Kota Ibushi. With his 25 hours a day. Sean says AEW wrestlers are
That's smarter for Tony.
I think some of them are employees, but I think some are I think it may depend on what.
It's smarter for Tony because he can't.
I can't remember how it worked out, but maybe Sean is probably.
It's smarter business to have them as employees because then you can't insure them. Yikes. Weeds. All right.
Sean says Anna and Jack took time off together. Fletcher said Sky's still rehabbing, but that could be a work. Yeah, that's from what I had heard. I didn't think she had been cleared yet, at least not that I had heard. I make beat says yes, he has no fear people like that survive. Yeah, you're right about that. Depends on the graphic, I assume that. Yeah, there's different tiers too. They've talked about that. Like there's like it goes from like a 0 tier to like the high tier, and for a while, the highest tier was Chris Jericho, but now I believe that's Mercedes Moné, and I'm sure Will Ospreay is and Okada probably.
And Okada.
Probably on that high tier as well. Do you think Hangman will somehow help Swerve win today? It kind of feels like it. I feel he'll.
There's going to be a moment between the two some way or another. I think
I was going to say, I think Hangman gets involved somehow. Does he help him? Maybe. Or does he go out there to intend to help him and then accidentally makes him lose? I feel like we see Hangman tonight regardless. I feel like he will, for whatever reason, whether it's on purpose or not, he will cause Swerve to lose. Lady B says Anna J has been popping up on my TikTok feed lately. All of her content is her reviewing Coffee Spot. She had one in St. Paul the day after AEW had a show there, so she's still sitting in catering. I wonder if she's just like back recently and they're waiting for her to. Maybe they're waiting for how they're going to bring her back in. Hopefully they find something for her because she seemed to be starting out on a good run until she got injured. So hopefully she's back soon. Didn't Kyle say she would be back sooner than we expect? Maybe. You might be right. And then Sean says, well, RJ said he still never got the All Elite graphic when he signed. That is true. And I think that's a running bit for him now. He's never going to get one. Everybody gets a graphic now. All right. So we've made it to the end of the card, unless there's been anything announced that I have not heard yet, unless they officially announced STP versus the Ops, or just decided to put a women's match on. I'm sure the Premier Athletes will get a match. Probably Blake Christian. They keep booking him. He might get a match on the free show. What is your match of the night, do you think?
I am probably going to go with that 3-way with Kenny Omega and Ricochet and Speedball, with probably the side one being the Ospreay match, because those are Ospreay matches always deliver, and Kevin Knight is ready. His body is ready.
Is that your sleeper? Is that your sleeper match? Ospreay and Knight.
I'm going to probably go with that as a sleeper.
Yes. So I will agree. I think match of the night is going to be the Intercontinental match with Omega, Speedball, Ricochet. My two sleeper matches are Ospreay, Kevin Knight, and Adam Cole, Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, that's probably going to be better than people are thinking about. Yep. This card's pretty, we say this every time, but this card's pretty stacked, and it's hard to not do with the talent that they've got going on. Yeah. So,
yes. Maria says that Triple Threat she agrees will be a match of the night. Is Eddie Kingston still a long way from recovering? And from what I understand, yes, unless they are obviously trying to keep it kayfabe so we can't figure it out. Mm-hmm. He was supposed to be out, I think, until August anyway. He has also, before he could have surgery, he was having stomach issues, and he said he had to get that under control before he had surgery. So that put things behind. He has been training with Cesar Bononi, who obviously was part of the Wingmen, he's a personal trainer outside of AEW. They have been working together. They've posted videos and stuff. So he is on track. I had heard something a couple months ago that he was trying to get back sooner than expected. That's really the last update I had. So I want to say, I can't remember if August is when I heard or if I just assumed it was August. Now I can't remember. But I think August is when they were saying, which obviously would be right after All In. But before Forbidden? Wait, when is Forbidden Door? August?
August.
So right before Forbidden Door maybe. But he could come back earlier than that. I Make Beats believes Triple Threat and Mercedes, Julia, and Ospreay Knight. Yeah, Mercedes and Julia I think is going to be good too. Yeah. It's going to be a solid card. We'll just see how mad people are after the main event.
Nobody gets madder
than us. Next Sunday, and we can talk about it together. Because who knows what this fallout from that's going to be. And also, speaking of, tonight after Dynasty ends, come back here to the YouTube channel because there will be an after show. Apparently, the Boom might be going away. Kevin Ely has decided to step away from podcasting, and obviously James McDaniel is not podcasting either. He's dealing with his own things. So Jeremy will probably be leading the charge, and then we're trying to figure things out.
We're reorganizing just like everyone.
Yeah, life happens. There definitely will be a post-match show. A post show tonight here on this very network with Jeremy. I don't know. Have they announced?
I think Garrett's definitely involved. Jeremy's definitely involved. Okay. And then tune in to see some of your favorite Fight Game Media personalities post game. We know that we've got some people on deck that they were just organizing who was going to be covering with Garrett. And we are going to be continuing our post shows regardless. They may be rebranded, but they'll still be there. So
yes,
they're not going away. You will still have, you have us before, you have us after, you have us in between.
Fernando, I want to say roughly, they tend to start about 20 minutes after the show ends. Let everybody get adjusted. We'll definitely tweet it out and post, and post it on Blue Sky as well when it's getting ready. And if you
check out our the Fight Game Blue Sky has a little packet workspace thing for all of the things you could follow. But if you follow the Blue Sky or if you follow the Twitter, they will definitely let you know the minute they go live. So.
Yes, I make beats so that he lives in the UK and will be in bed. Let's go.
Enjoy it tomorrow when you are
enjoy whenever you get the chance. So if I'm awake early enough, I'll try to catch the pay-per-view, but I want to avoid spoilers.
Stay off the internet.
Good luck with that. I know how hard it is to avoid spoilers, so I hope that you stay spoiler-free. For some reason, I feel like Monet and Athena will continue their rivalry until All In, and that Jamie will be the one to win the tournament and go after Tony for the world title. I have seen that argument, and I could see that too. I do feel like Monet and Athena is not going to be a one-off match. I do feel like we're getting a feud out of this. But I feel like they're pushing Jamie really big too, and Jamie and Tony have history. I can certainly see that happening for sure. Mercedes. Or Venkin says, I don't think Athena versus Mercedes will happen in the Owen. I think so because they're both in the same bracket. They're on the same side of the bracket. So I predict that they will. Sean says, have a wonderful Sunday. Everyone enjoy the pay-per-view. Thanks for the stream, Bombshells. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy your pay-per-view or the pay-per-view and your Sunday as well. I make beats has ways to avoid. Fernando asks if Juice is still injured. Yes. He is, from what a report came out a few days ago, that he is getting closer to an in-ring return. He's getting ready to start practicing in the ring again and kind of making some moves. I haven't heard a timetable for his return, but he is progressing very well. So if all things go well, no injuries.
They did mention him on commentary last night, which leads me to believe that they're at least planting seeds. So that's a good sign. Because usually they don't mention people unless
maybe Juice and Jay come back at the same time. Together. I don't know what Jay's. I mean, I guess if he has surgery, that may be Juice may be ready before then. So we shall see, and then maybe we'll find out what happened to the guns.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for everybody joining us. Thank you for being in the comments. If you are watching later, thank you for watching us then. We will be back next Sunday at 1:00 to talk about the fallout from today and probably all kinds of wrestling things that are happening. It is unfortunately been injury season as of late. And
it's injury season and it's Mania season. So I think
I'm sure we'll have plenty of topics to talk about, but we will be here. And again, you can follow us on social media as well. You can follow both of us and Fight Game Media and Power Bombshells. And
we're all over the place. You can find us.
So happy Dynasty Day.
Happy Dynasty Day. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a good week.
Bye.